think this is good. I think it's live. Let me make sure. Hello. Oh, okay, I have audio. I hope you can see me. We'll see. I didn't tell anyone about this. I think I told like best one the Cinderace, so and maybe Stanley. So if anyone comes on, hello. I'm Elena and I am trying to do a stream. I'm hoping it's in all the places. We'll see. You can chat, and I think I figured out how to put your stuff on the screen. I think it's just a pin. I googled it. Who knows? Google never gives you an accurate answer anymore. So we'll see if that actually works. But I would like to try that. The only reason I kind of wouldn't is because I do take all these lives and I cut them up later. And if I like to mix it up based on, I talk all over the place. So I like to try to make a cohesive little video on demand and little topics. And if I have a person's message or pinned comment up there, you will be able, it might like mix around too much because there might be a sentence in the end that I want to put closer to the front and things like that. So I mean, that is something I've thought about, but I guess we'll find out. Anyway, it says like 3 people are here. That's nice. Give me a live chat thing, like talk to me, and then we can actually, I want to do this and like have discussions with people in general, get to know you guys. So today's topic, I really hate coming on with a topic. It's like 2 hours, and I really go with just what we're who says something in the chat, and topics never stay on what the title is. But I think anyone can see right now we are in a weird time. That's putting it lightly, but we're seeing people, and very specifically women, going insane in a lot of different ways. So whether you're looking at Hollywood and you're seeing the demise of a lot of women just mentally and physically, it's what it looks like is happening. You're seeing a lot of tragic stories of things that I don't know a lot about. Hayden Panettiere, however you say it. I don't know a lot about it, but you've probably seen the news about it, and it seems like what everyone's saying is a long opioid struggle that did not end well. So that is something that is happening a lot. That is not a new thing, but we also have synthetic opioids and different things that cause it to be even more dangerous than it used to be. So that is something that we're unfortunately seeing a lot more tragedies with that. But a big thing that we're seeing is, like, say, Lindsay Clancy. And we saw it with Luigi Mangione. We saw it with Charlie Kirk. We see people who are defending evil, saying that that's good, and calling good things evil. And of course, you can get into the Bible and all that. I'm not going to. I think the more apparent thing that we really need to discuss is the issue at hand. Is there the chance to get back, or have we like gone too far down this road? I don't believe one thing just starts and it's like, oh, now everyone's just crazy. It starts with, say, abortions, and then it goes into thinking that other types of killing is okay. These are the little steps that it takes, and it's why something seems extreme, like stopping this or that, but the more you cross over that line, then the next line doesn't seem so far away. And that's what media is really doing. They're desensitizing and they're indoctrinating, and that is the state that we've been in for a very long time. This isn't like a new thing. It got very bad, I think, around the 2016-ish is when things got really crazy. But then things have really snowballed, and that's what we're seeing. I believe is because we have a group that was fairly silent. We sort of were live and let live during this last decade, and it got weird and crazier, and So we started to speak up, and this is when I bring in the Truman Show, when I bring in the concept that we were in this cage, we were in this space that we didn't have locks on the doors, and now that people are actually trying to leave, now that we are fighting back, now that we are saying this is not right, you can't just go around hurting people, you can't hate people because of their beliefs, like you need to be able to have conversations with each other and ideological discussions that are different and be able to think that human life matters still. Those sort of things, it seems like not crazy concepts, but those are the things that we're now speaking out about. We're saying, whether or not, what is a woman? An adult female human is a woman. That it seems fairly simple. I don't think you need several hours of discussion about it. That's a fairly simple explanation. Adult female human, and that's a woman. And people are fighting back now against the things that we're being forced to say, right? They're fighting back, and that is when the people, like if you see the Truman Show, that's when they start getting stopped. That's when the machine or whatever, everyone else starts to fight back more violently, more aggressively. That's when people start flipping out, because now we're actually saying something. Now we're saying this is not okay. We want to escape this whole weird Truman Show village, and that is when we're being met now with some even more crazy. So we are at this impasse at this point that I do believe we are hitting that wall of people not wanting to let go of the crazy reins. Is it too late? Did we let this go too far? Did we not fight back soon enough? Did we do the live and let live and let people cancel and shut down? Because I know a lot of people during the cancel years were scared to talk. Now no one really cares about being called names. That's sort of par for the course. You say anything reasonable and you're going to be called names. So that we've been now desensitized to name calling so that we can actually say something and not worry about that cancel concept. I mean, we're seeing all the stuff coming out. I mean, this is stuff that was out prior, whether you're talking about COVID or any of it. This was stuff that was prior release, but it was shut down. So it's not that you didn't have people talking about this. They were all shut down. They were treated really poorly. I myself, we all were just started to keep quiet about it, and some of us were forced to keep quiet. I would say I was a part of the problem. I just again sat and did my own thing, and didn't get the vaccine. I had no reason to. It seemed crazy. It didn't seem like a vaccine. It seemed like that was the wrong definition of what it was. That all just seemed ridiculous to me, and I just sat quietly, and let the people around me, the people that I worked with, talk really poorly about people that they didn't know were sitting right in front of them, because I was just quiet about it. So I was part of that problem. I spent a lot of growing up hearing this women talking about. It was anti-male sentiment. I didn't know that's what it was originally, because again, it's baby steps, but then it turned into this, and but I was always feeling like if I said something different, that I would be shut down or I would be treated weird. I was not as advanced or whatever. I was backwards because I liked more traditional values. I liked the traditional family, and that was something that I was told. And this was before all the even more extreme stuff that you see, but even a decade ago, that was backwards. Okay, I worked at SiriusXM with people at Progress, and that was not an allowed thing. Like, you weren't allowed to say that without getting pushback on it and getting treated poorly about it. So you were quiet. I mean, this is what I experienced, but I could have pushed back easily. The problem was I cared at the time about being called names, I guess. It's like that's like when you care, and then now we don't care. And that's like where we're at. We're at the pushback, and we're seeing with the pushback, the crazies get crazier, because that's what happens, when you put a crazy wild rabid animal in a corner, they're going to freak out. And we're seeing the freakouts, and we're seeing it in women. I don't know. This is not something I've discussed with some of the more liberal people in my life, but I still have to imagine that they would believe that Lindsay Clancy is not a victim, and that she should be locked up, that this is not acceptable behavior, and it's a bad thing, it's evil, right? This is not a well person, but it's not a victim of something that causes you. There are plenty of victims that don't do this. But I know for a fact that there are so many people, just like we saw a year ago, almost a year ago with Charlie Kirk, that just do not care about life. A lot of women don't seem to care about children's lives, even children out of their bodies. This is the slippery slope we got on. This is where you have the little steps. This is why you don't cross the original lines, because then you have the worst things that people accept, and that people think that it's okay to hurt someone because of what they believe. I get threats often, and there's a reason. Like, my family doesn't agree with most of what I say, so I don't even bring them up. My family's not threatening me, you know what I mean? But I get threats from like comments and different people, and most of the time, they're just angry, and they don't really have an actual comment more than just insults, and that's kind of when they have nothing. I'm fine with debating someone. I'm not always right on everything, but I'm definitely not needing to insult you to get a point across, because that's the only point I have. And it's something like when you watch something like Jubilee, that I don't think was ever great, but you watch that and you start seeing there is a side that cannot debate, but they think that they're winning, and they think it's a debate because they're angry and call names. Like, a name isn't a debate. Calling someone a bigot is not a debate. Calling someone racist is not a debate. That has not, and it's not even like valid at most of the points. So I don't know that this is fixable, but what I am seeing is the fight back and the craziness go even crazier, because they don't want to be pushed in a corner. They don't want to admit that they're completely evil and delusional. And that is what we're seeing, and I believe we're seeing it in women especially. And I do think it's desensitization. There's sexual desensitization. There's, in all the media, we've been pushed further and further. You watch they had that story about Gen Z not liking sex in movies and things. And I mean, honestly, I'm not sure exactly how they came to that point. Maybe it's the type that they were seeing, the disgusting, like, no one needs to see this personal stuff. But it's also, is it just because they've disconnected anything with, like, do they think that's love? Do they think that's a personal, intimate thing? Is it not? It's been so rampant. And then you say, what is it, that One Night Only movie, right? I didn't see it. I'm not going to see it. But, even like the woman's outfit, which I'm sure men seem to like it from some of the reviews that I saw, it was an awful outfit. It was really horribly ugly and disgusting. It was a gross outfit. Like, I don't know why you would wear that in public ever, at any level. Just out. like no, don't, that's not an okay outfit. So the fact that they didn't put as much sex in the movie, it's like, okay, are you sure? Because I believe that what someone wears does reflect those things as well. And you don't have to be crazy modest, but that was a gross outfit. It was gross. She didn't look good. She looked trampy. I don't have a better word for it. It didn't look good. It did not make her look good, and it made the movie specifically, I might have tried to watch it, but I couldn't get past the whole aesthetic of it, and the concept of, yes, what are they planting there? Because they are planting seeds. Like, this seed was trying to get in people's mind. If you look even back at Gattaca and the things that they planted back, they were doing scientific things with CRISPR and genetics back in the day. The Hollywood knows what's going on in those ways. So the seeds that they're planting, they want it to get in your mind, in the back of your mind, that they're going to take away everybody's free will to have sex when they want, outside of marriage or whatever. So that is clearly a seed that was in that movie that wants to be thrown out there just subtly. You know, these are actual things that are being indoctrinated into people, and we see the effects now of the 20 years ago indoctrination. We see it in my generation, and my generation's not doing well. We're not doing well. I mean, I would even say that, like, I am not doing as well as I could have been had I not been indoctrinated early on and had to undo this and unlearn stuff, not because anyone was telling me specifically how to unlearn it or what, you know, would be a healthier way to live or to think. And again, I probably would have sought out a relationship while I was sick more. But there were things in my head that I needed to be able to handle things, and I had to work and pay, and I was ill. So I did have a slightly different, but I can't blame just illness for the direction that I went. But I can say that now, being older, I see the things that I've missed that I don't want to tell people, like, oh, this is fine. No, like, I regret things. I regret missing out on things. And I think that is something that a lot of women my age are, like, trying to double down, and they're trying to be like, make it okay that they made bad decisions, make it okay that they, you know, can't turn back time and do certain things. You know, AOC, right? She's trying to now plant seeds that, like, it's okay, keep doing this, just save your eggs till later. Till when? Till your body can't use them? Like, so you have to do a surrogate, because that's happening. And I'm not opposed to having children later in life. I would still like to have children, but I am opposed to using that to train younger people that that's the healthiest, easiest, most beneficial way to do this, and to put stuff off. Let me tell you, most people start a new career in their 40s. So I would say do the opposite. Have the family, get married, do that thing, and then if you want to start doing something maybe later, when your kids are a little older, that seems like something that you might be able to do. But it makes more sense biologically, physiologically. It just makes more sense, and it's not anti-woman to just understand facts and understand what's going to be easier in life, and what a person that I'm pretty okay with being alone. I don't, like, you've seen some of my videos, I'm not crazy social. So for me in this situation, I'm probably gonna be fine, regardless of what ends up happening. But I do think a lot of women could hit this stage and not be fine. I also feel like I'm healthier than I've ever been in my life. I'm not getting sick anymore. You know, I was sick for almost 30 years, very ill, which did make it really hard to do things. So now I can do stuff in life, and it's a little late, so we'll see if I do or not. But I can at least admit that there were bad decisions, and there were things that I put off that I shouldn't have. But I can also admit that I can't change that, and we need to tell that story, right? Like, not a sob story, but like a, hey, like, this could be done a lot better, and this is my experience. And I think a lot of women are maybe embarrassed to say it, because then people say, oh, you've hit a wall. I really don't think I've hit a wall. I've pivoted. Like, I'm not doing the same things I used to do. Not that, you know, I never really, again, I was sick, so I didn't get a whole lot of youth life. I worked a lot and then was sick a lot. But I can still, you know, say I'm not done, but I'm not able to live the life that I really thought I was going to have, that you thought was just going to happen. And it doesn't just happen. You actually have to work for those things. And I didn't have the energy to work on a relationship, on those sort of things. I don't even think I probably could have had a baby at that time. I was very ill. So again, there are things, and I think every woman can go through that. So I don't want to tell people like you can't do stuff later in life. I do believe that feeling better than I ever have. I look pretty good, I think, for my age. I'm 42, by the way. I'm not worried about that. I've aged very well, actually. Maybe it was being sick and bedridden, stuck inside so long, I didn't get the sun, and so I didn't. So my skin did okay. But I also didn't do all the Botox and all of that stuff. Like you can see, I haven't even dyed my hair. You can see my one streak in my hair. So, and I'm not saying I would never dye my hair. I just haven't, and I'm just letting my body do what it does as long as it can, and then maybe one day I'll do something. You never know. But I do also think that maybe has helped as well. I think some of the stuff we're doing to anti-age is actually aging us a lot faster. I mean, I spent my life drinking Red Bull and Coca-cola. So speaking of, but people are here, so I'm going to say hello to people. I wasn't sure. I never tell you guys when it's going to happen. I did tell Stanley and Best One the Cinder Ace. Hi! Hi, Best One the Cinder Ace is here. Hello. It's been a while since I've caught you on the stream, but I did try to tell you, and then I was like, I have to do this today because I did tell you. And hi, Stanley Sorellis, new member. He's really cool. Hi, Stanley. And Best One the Cinder Ace. Oh, let's say hi to everyone, and then I'll look through this. Ghostly too. Hi. Hello. Ricky. Hi, Ricky. That's a Ricky Rao. I recognize you, but I've never actually have to say your names out loud. So hello, everybody. I want to go through. I think if I pin this, we're going to see. Can we see something? Okay, well, I pinned it, but it doesn't show on the screen. Does it show on your screen? Does it show anything? I was told that if I pinned it, that it would show up on the screen, but I don't know if it will. But anyway, I remember, so Best One the Cinder Ace is saying, I remember Hayden on Remember the Titans. Yes, Save the Cheerleaders, Save the World. That movie would air on Disney's TV. Oh, Remember the Titans. That's the one where she's a tiny girl, right? So remember, Heroes is the cheerleader one, which that was a while ago. Remember the Titans, she was like a young girl. Is that the one that we're thinking of, the football one? Okay, so that one, I have not even watched that. That's an old movie. So the Disney Channel, every so often, is where you saw it. What do you remember the most about Hayden? I remember Nashville, because I lived in Nashville, and we were on the radio show, and I just remember Nashville. The TV show is what I remember Hayden from the most. I know she was in a lot of other stuff, which I knew her from Bring It On. I knew her, or the later Bring It Ons. I knew her from different things. She was in a lot of stuff, and obviously I knew her from Heroes. I was never a Heroes fan, like I never watched it too much, but I do remember Nashville. So that's when I really saw her all the time, and since I lived in Nashville, we were on the radio show in Nashville. The host was on the show once, like, it was something that we talked about all the time, so I watched regularly. So that was the main thing, and she sang and different things, so I really enjoyed watching her in Nashville, and I liked her character. So that's what I do remember the most about her, personally. So let's unpin this. I don't know how to then go back. Okay, Ghostly 2 says, those who play with devil's toys shall be brought by degrees to wield his sword. I mean, it is, we're going to be seeing a lot of judgment on people, but right now we're in the day of, acceptance. So we have to try to tell people, the goodness of God will draw people to repentance at this point. But there is evil in the world. There is absolutely evil. Whether you believe in the Bible or not, you can see the evil. You can see it a lot. So Best When the Cinder Ace says cancel culture was very depressing. So Stanley, you're saying we're seeing a lot of BPD, something personality disorder, right? Behavioral personality disorder. What is BPD? Is that the one where I saw a movie on Lifetime, maybe it was a Lifetime thing, where they're disassociated and they're it's a type of narcissistic personality disorder. Is that the one? Let me know. I can look it up, but I don't want to leave this page right now. Let's see. Ban and report online threats to authorities and possibly police. It's the moral thing to do. I have been doing that. Most of the ones that are actually threatening, I do report. A lot of times, they don't do a whole lot about it. X seems to be the most responsive, but they do nothing. It's always like never. They never agree that it's a threat. So oh well. But I do on X. I block people all the time. Not even people that like talk to me. I don't block them as much. But it's like if I'm just going through the feed and like I see someone that because they'll show you random people, or if you're like looking through someone's comments and you see someone who's saying something like just awful, I just block them. I don't want to ever see that person on my feed. I don't care if they ever see me. I think blocking, you can't see me as well. I could care less. Mine is just I just don't want to see them again. So that's exciting that I can do that. I really enjoy being able to hide people. So I do that a lot. So I feel like there's like 50 people that I've hidden in the last week that I'm just, it helps my peace not having to see just crazy people say horrible, crazy things for no reason. Like just people are so used to, and maybe that's also an online thing. We've disassociated from reality and life because of the online space, and we have no idea what's real or not. They used to blame video games and things, and maybe video games desensitize something, but I just don't see men with the same behavior as women. I think the video games can become addictive, and I see that as a big issue, but doesn't feel like, I don't think women are the ones who play the video games, and those seem the ones who are violent right now. I mean, in general. So, I don't know. Let's see, Ricky. Big steps to own that S. I feel that. Thank you. Thank you. It is. You have to own your life, right? And I don't regret my life at all, but I do regret a lot of decisions that I have made that I didn't even know I was making, but here we are. So the wall that I have hit is just, biologically being 42, understanding I may not ever have kids if I don't get married and have kids. And, that's meeting the right person to get married to. And I never tried to do that when I was younger. So that is a real actual thing that happens, women. No women watch this, but if a woman ever sees this and you're young, or you're even in your early 30s, mid 30s, like just do it. Have the kids, right? Like, get married though. Get married, have kids. There's a lot of single parents. I don't think that's necessarily the best way to go. So yeah, get married, have the children, but make that a priority. You can get a career at any point in your life. You see people having to work in their retirement years, their 70s. So yeah, I think you're gonna have time to work. So you're not gonna have time to have kids. So and again, there were things that happened, but I can't just blame everything on sickness. I could have tried and pushed through at some level. I could have. I spent a whole lot of time alone because, who wants to be around people when you're sick? And so I would prefer to be alone, and I feel like that kind of created my personality in a lot of ways, so I tend to probably enjoy being alone now just as a default, because my entire life I just was like, it's just so much easier to not be sick in front of people. And that's like a self-judgment thing. Like, who wants to feel bad and look bad and be sick and throw up in front of someone randomly, I mean, so yeah, that's an ego thing that stopped me from pushing and trying. And I feel like I could have done better, but here we are. Hi, Chuck Gilly. Sorry. Hi, Chuck Gilly. Hey. And then Mike Consino. Hello. Hi. Hello, dear. That was nice. That's a nice greeting. Hello. Hi, Mike. And then, yes, starting to wonder. Yes, I do have my water here. Well, it's sparkling water. These are security blankets for me. This is also stuff that has happened because I used to get sick all the time, and it's like a weird security blanket to have some sort of carbonated beverage, which is always, it's interesting. Like, it's really important to see where you are right now and figure out the reasons why you're there, whether good or bad. It's important to understand what motivated certain habits and things, and a lot of my habits happened from being ill, unfortunately. But I'm pushing against some of them, being like, do I really like being inside, or is it just because I was sick all the time? Like, that's something I've tested out, and I live in Texas, and in the summer I do like being inside. I don't ever want to be outside in the summer. It's horrible. It's very hot. It's in 100 degrees, and I still haven't gotten used to it from coming from New York. And New York got really hot. You would walk on the concrete in the summer, and something about the concrete just made it hotter than it was. So the concrete jungle thing is real. Like, it's super hot. Like, it emanates. I'm doing this because it like emanates from the heat from the concrete. It got really hot when you walked in New York, but it still wasn't this level of heat. And I still haven't, 3 years later, gotten used to it ever. And I miss winter, and I miss fall. I miss weather that isn't hot. I really dislike Austin, for a lot of reasons, but I really dislike the weather. But my family's here, and these are the decisions that I made because I missed like a decade of my family's life because I was far away, and I knew I wasn't ever going to travel because I know me, and that's another thing that I got from, I think, being sick. I just hated traveling, and I've traveled a lot through my life, so I was like, I'm never going to visit my family, see them, so I moved close to them so that I could see my family. These are the choices we make so that I don't spend another 10 years regretting missing my nephews growing up. And now I see one of my nephews, because one of my sisters had to move away. She's like in Midland now. But I see one of my nephews every single day. And that's nice. Well, besides the weekends, sometimes on the weekends. But that is exciting, and to be able to be around him and have him be one of his favorite aunts. But since he was a little infant, he was born 2 months early. He was premature, and so he was in the NICU for a while. But once he was out and we were babysitting, holding the baby, like getting used to babies and stuff, that was super fun. And it was, I guess I'm fairly good with children. So it did remind me, I think, that I did miss out. My sisters are younger. I did miss out. My older sister I have a niece who's like in her mid-20s now. But I was 16, I think, 17 when she was a baby, so I did know her a little, but I lived in Venezuela, so we didn't get to hang out as much, and then I moved away during her high school years, so, I missed a lot of her growing up, and I, regret that. So these are the things you will regret later that you can't change. I can't turn her back to her youth, but I mean, we did talk. I would call her and we'd have like hour or so long conversations, so we did that and we kept in touch, and I've been training her now as she's been a young adult. I've trained her to produce and to do social media and to do videos and audio production, and she does podcast work, and so those are things that I do share with her now, but you'll miss it. So we have to make better decisions now, including with the media and what we're allowing to be seen and be normalized, because we're looking at what we're seeing right now. Lindsay Clancy, this is a thing that has happened. This is a symptom of something that has been happening, right? So this isn't just like, oh, surprise. This has been building up to this behavior, and all of these women who are saying that defending her are absolutely delusional, demented, and dangerous. This is dangerous. This is not, and they're not just dangerous to you and I, they're especially dangerous to defenseless people. It's a danger to society. It's a big issue. And let's see, Ricky, yes, the first few, I was thinking about that, Ricky. Ricky says that the first two, I can pin this. I don't know how it works. You guys can't see it. I'll have to figure that out. I should have really looked into it better. But yeah, so the first few seasons of Heroes, I was thinking about that, and wasn't Heroes during the writer's strike? Isn't that when it kind of got weird and went downhill? Because I remember we were on the radio during that time, and so we would talk about it. Heroes wasn't one of the shows that I watched, but things like Ugly Betty. I watched Ugly Betty, so I could tell when the writer's strike happened that was bad. It didn't go well, and then it got better when they came back. So now I don't know that a writer's strike would matter as much because the writers are all horrible. They got rid of all the good writers and put in people for DEI purposes, and now we just have crap in Hollywood all over the place. It's awful. But I do remember the first few seasons of Heroes. Everyone really loved it. And I do think that was a writer's strike. I was thinking about that. If writer's strike was the one that kind of messed up that show. And I think a lot of shows, they paused for a little bit, but then they had to end up coming back, like Ugly Betty did. And it really did hurt the show. Writers matter. Good writers matter, especially. So, anyway, and yes, remember... Yeah, then it jumped the shark, so I could have read your next. Ricky continues. Then it jumped the shark after the first few seasons. And I do think it was the writer's strike that did that. Best one, the Cinderace. Yes, I remember. Oh, remember the time it was the football movie and she was 9 years old. Yes, I do remember that one. I don't recall watching it more than once, so I really couldn't tell you a lot about it, except for I remember her as a little girl. I remember that image, and I think I've seen it around recently, and I remembered what movie that was. Okay, so bipolar disorders. Thank you, Stanley. Yeah, so bipolar disorder, that's complicated. I was diagnosed with that, technically, manic depression, and then they changed it in the DSM when I was young. I'm not sure that's exactly the right thing. I think they overdiagnose things. And then they gave me like Zoloft, and this was in high school because I was like depressed or something. I stopped taking Zoloft. I was like, this is weird, and I don't like not being able to feel anything. And then I just kind of learned that, I do tend to go into depressive states. They're not sad though. They're just, it's hard to do stuff. And so you just have to fight against that. It's really about self-control. I do believe that there's extreme measures, because I was just mildly, that possibly you need the chemicals for, you need some sort of medication. But for me, I really regulate it. Just by when I feel myself getting manic and doing too much, because I'll be go, 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 and I will get a lot done. When I feel that happening, I have to force myself to stop. And you stop for a day, and then your hormones and chemicals are more regulated, and you're not in that manic mode anymore, and you can stop that from happening. If you don't stop it from happening, you will likely go into a depressive state pretty bad, and it's hard to get out of, but not impossible. And basically it's just every day continuing to do something, not letting yourself not do something, because it becomes sometimes even physically painful in a way to try to do stuff. So depression is a really interesting beast. I think it exists in everyone. It attacks everyone. I think our understanding of it is really bad. We have a poor understanding of it, and I think we're over-diagnosing certain things. I think some people have like some sort of delusional dementia versus necessarily bipolar disorder. I feel like there's it's sort of like the spectrum. People might say I'm on the spectrum, those sort of things. I just think there's such a wide range. I'd be closer to like an Asperger's person than some there's such a broad range that I just feel like those sort of spectrum, like they're not very effective in real establishing what the issue and establishing what the best, like, I believe behavioral therapy is one of the most effective types of therapy. I don't agree with the whole Freudian and the talking it out stuff. I think that's just reliving stuff over and over, and it's self-indulgent, and it's not going to actually fix the issue. I believe the only way to change the things that happen in your body, in your life, is to change your behavior. And that's a hard thing to do. A lot of people want to use medication to change the behavior, but I'm evidence that you can fight through depressive episodes and things just by forcing yourself to do things, and you can get through that. But there is, a lot of different levels. So this is just my experience. It's also when you look at something like Ariana Grande and you look at the Hollywood celebrities, there is a delusion happening. Because I remember when I was sick, I think I was about 6 months was the longest that I ever was bedridden. The other time it was probably closer to 5 months. And then maybe 1 or 2 months here or there. So those are kind of the strains, but the longest one was 6 months. And in those times I had gastroparesis. So when you think of GLP-1s and you think of the things that they actually cause gastroparesis, and to me that was a horrible, it was awful. Gastroparesis is when your stomach doesn't empty, and it was painful. And it was, you couldn't eat anything. So when someone chooses to take medicine that actually causes this, and it slows your metabolism, so you would always have to be on it, you're actually having worse metabolism afterwards, and your stomach is now, not only during the time that you're taking it, suffering from gastroparesis, which is suffering. It's not fun, and it hurts, and it's uncomfortable. And you literally can't keep any food down. You're nauseous all the time. It's a bad way to be, and you're also very weak. Like, for someone to choose that, like, it took me years. Like, the doctor said I would never get better. I have, because of God, but to fight against that, to force myself to eat, to not be scared to eat. I mean, there are things that I had to psychologically, and I still have to psychologically work through. I have to remember, like, oh, I don't get sick anymore. I can eat this. I can eat this ice cream. I couldn't have ice cream for my entire adult life, but now I can have soft serve ice cream, which is like a miracle, and I enjoy it. But things like peanut butter or chocolate, I still get nervous trying to eat them, because I used to get very, very ill for days if I had chocolate or peanut butter. Like, these random things that seem innocuous to other people, and the fact that people are choosing to do this to their bodies, it baffles me, and it angers me, and I'm resentful that they had lives, and they could go out and not have to think about if they're going to get sick, if they're going to have enough energy throughout the day because they couldn't eat. Those sort of things. Like, I would have to not eat, or eat and worry about being sick. So I would go for all day and not eat, and eat when I got home. These are the eating disorders that happen because of that, right? Like, these are the things that happen when you get ill. And these are the things that people are doing to themselves, and I don't understand it. And then to actually, like, what I used to do, because I would have to, like, eat a whole lot of protein, and like in drinks, like juices and different things, and shakes and those sort of things. And I remember there was like this was it clavicle? Is this bone? Collarbone? Whatever it is, this collarbone thing. I would look, because I wanted to make sure that I didn't have too pointy of shoulder blades. I wore the wrong outfit to present this, but my shoulder blades didn't have the point on them, and that I didn't have, you couldn't like see my collarbone. You can't really see it right now because I'm healthy, but, so you couldn't really see my collarbone like jut out or anything. But the fact that you can see any of the top ribs, the chest, the ribs on anyone like that, I was bedridden for 6 months. I could barely walk to the kitchen. I had no strength, and I like couldn't keep food down. And you couldn't see those bones. Like, you might be able to see this part of the collarbone, but you really couldn't even see the under of the collarbone as much, but it was noticeable. But you can never even see this part, that you can see the chest, that you can see of people, the ribs that you can see now. I can't imagine how horrible a person has to feel, because I was not in a state where you could see that stuff. And I was, at one point, like I'm on average 103 pounds, 103 to 105. I would prefer to stay there, have a little more poundage on me, makes me feel better. But I was at like 89 pounds at one point. And I never weighed myself. I actually had to weigh my cat, and they said, like, weigh yourself and then weigh yourself with the cat, and the difference would be how much your cat weighs. And I was 89 pounds that time when I weighed my cat myself. That, you know, and you couldn't see that and I'm 5'3". I like to say 5'4". It says 5'4", I think, on my driver's license, but technically it's 5'3" and a little. So I'm small, but like you couldn't see the ribs. You couldn't see my backbones. So to think about what agony and what pain I was in, and these people are in that as well. Like, and I'm looking at many celebrities like this, and you can see the things that I looked at to be like, uh-oh, this is really bad. I need to figure out how to get more protein. I need to figure out how to get more minerals. Like, I would work really hard to not be in that state, but I was still exhausted. I'm telling you, I couldn't walk. I had a 1-bedroom apartment. To just get groceries, going to the door and trying to bring the it took multiple effort. Like, I had to sit down and then bring another bag in, and then to try to put stuff away. Like, I remember it was just cans, like a soup or something, and I put those away because I wanted to push myself, and I brought them in and put them away at the same time. I was so winded. I didn't catch my breath for 2 days. And I remember that day I unlocked my door and I overfed my cat. And I made sure that he had water, like a whole lot of water, because I didn't think I was going to make it through the day and the night. And it lasted for 2 days, that I had to think about breathing, that I couldn't catch my breath. So to think about someone who might be doing this to themselves for the sake of looking good, because it doesn't look good, it's shocking to me. I don't even understand it, and it angers me. Like, I resent that person for even like ruining their body in a way that I was not trying to, and I was just struggling. So it's like a weird thing to talk about, but I think it's important because I understand what I was trying to prevent from happening to my body was something that I'm seeing now as some norm in Hollywood. That's insane. It's insane. And it's to think about how bad they have to feel. I can't even imagine how weak they have to feel, how in much pain they have to feel. Like, of course I had extra pain because of the disease, but it was a chronic illness, Crohn's disease, and there was a lot of pain. There was also GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, Crohn's disease, and possibly ulcerative colitis. So, you know, the doctors like to just throw stuff at you because they can't help you. So they're like, oh, next symptom, we're just going to name it this. So I would get ulcers as well, a whole lot. So I was in a lot of extra pain, likely, but still, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. Anyway, so I don't know where I'm at. Yeah, they're very manipulative. Stanley's talking about bipolar disorders. You know, that in my experience, a lot of women are, even with or without bipolar, are manipulative. I think women in general are manipulative. Like, that's just a thing we are. We have to fight against that. I don't know if it's like a survival instinct. I feel like I've ruined my makeup. I feel like it's a survival instinct in a way, but not because we necessarily have issues. It's just like ingrained in us to manipulate. I just honestly feel like that's a thing we do. That's a bad habit that women have, that we're trained to do it, not like by our mothers or something, but it's the media, it's the things that it trains you how to do it, and you're able to do it. Women are crazy manipulative. We just absolutely are. I can't even like I don't know. It's something that you have to actively like not do as a woman. to try not to manipulate people. Ivan Pescabo, hi, hello. Ivan says, tell me where you are from and what this stream is talking about. Well, I feel like hopefully you've figured out what the stream is talking about now. Generally speaking, our media and entertainment has done a whole lot to ruin our society and plant seeds that women are eating, and it has grown into delusion, dementia. We have a mass mental health delirium happening. I don't even know. I feel like they need to call it something. No, I don't know. They need to call it something. That is, it's absolute mass delirium on a crazy violent level. It's ridiculous. We have a violent thing happening through all humanity right now, but I did earlier mention that I do think one of the reasons why it's getting more and more aggressive is because of the pushback, because of people like myself, like you all, that are pushing back against it, that are speaking out, not being canceled, because we don't care that we're being called names, because we understand that's a bad debate. You can't debate just calling people names. That's stupid. That was a good debate on my part, but it's like you can't debate someone who's not willing to actually bring in information, who's just going to call you names. It's impossible. Like, you will drive yourself crazy, as they are already crazy. So that is something that has been happening for a while, and we've sort of allowed it because we didn't want to get canceled. We didn't want to lose our jobs, and now more people are speaking up. There's more stuff happening. We're in a space where we're allowed. We have different spaces where we're allowed to speak up more. And I believe that is causing pushback. That is when you poke the bear in the cage, you know? And we're poking the bear who thinks they're in a cage, and they're freaking out. And the bear are the crazy women. The crazy people that just want to hurt everybody. That's all they want to do. And it's pretty crazy out there. So let's see. Ricky says, I think people just stop listening to listen and only listen to argue. I agree. There was someone who, on X, I post a lot of, I cut up all these lives into little videos that I post on YouTube, and then I post on X. And someone said something, it was like they listened to a piece, like, I said a full sentence. That wasn't what they said. I wish I had brought it. And basically their response was to something I didn't even say. And I was like, well, this is... It's hard to talk to people because all you want to do is respond to that person and be like, I actually literally said this sentence, so you're hearing one word in that, and that wasn't the whole thing I said at all. But that's like, you could waste your whole time, screaming at the peanut gallery. Like, it's a distraction, and so you have to stop yourself from responding, being like, actually, if you listen to the words that came out of my mouth, you would have known I said a full sentence that wasn't that. It was actually not that. But they listened to, it was kind of later in the video, so I appreciated that they listened to the video. It wasn't like a negative, horrible comment, but it was not what I said. Like, I said a full sentence. It was one word in the sentence that they kind of picked up on, and I feel like that's how we listen. I listen that way, like we all tend to do it now, and it's... Hi, Buns. I have a cat. I don't know that you can see him. Oh, there he is. Okay. Come on. You want to come out? Go on. My chubby cat. Okay, anyway, yeah, so that's how we're listening now. We're listening partially, and we're just basically like looking for things to argue with, where it didn't feel like he disagreed with everything that I said. It was just like the one nitpick that he wanted to do, and I was like, and you can let those things get to you, but you have to kind of brush them off. But it just feels like everyone wants to nitpick on everything and argue with everything, and we've normalized that behavior, which is why I block people and I hide people, and I let them know I'm hiding you right now because I don't want to see you anymore. And you can keep commenting. That's what I say on YouTube. I let people know I'm about to hide you because this is hurting my peace, and I don't need to be involved in this conversation or any of your comments anymore. So have fun watching and whatever, and then I hide them. I mean, these are the things that happen. because we have to stop allowing it. And that's where I said, is it too late? Is that's something I'm doing. I don't do, like I've said before, I don't do customer service on my channel because I want social behavior to be rewarded, and I want to learn to have social conversations again, not the whole thing where everyone just wants to argue with someone. So that is something I do agree, Ricky, that people are really, they're not listening, they're just listening to find something to argue with. And they'll pick out one word and not listen to the rest. And then best one, the Cinderace. Do I live life thinking what will today bring, and is it good to live life with this mindset? Honestly, I don't. Like sometimes I expect God to do a lot of fun things that I don't know that He's gonna do. Sure, you never know what the day will bring. I believe you should live your life with intention. Make a plan, knowing that you can also be able to pivot when that plan ultimately changes, because it always does. Nothing ever goes as planned. So I think it's good to plan. I think it's good to have goals, and I don't know if that's like the question that you're asking, but with the mindset, like what will today bring, I just think being open to that, sure, but there is probably a trap in that. There's probably a trap in being like just c'est la vie, I think we do have to have something to, I mean, it's great to have like a day or two that you're just like, what will today bring? But I do think having goals and plans is really important, especially now. I think you have little time in life, and so it's not saying like live every day stressed that you have to get stuff done, but I mean just have like an intention. Today I'm going to the store and I'm going to intend to purchase something that I can then give to my mom or to my sister or to the stranger at the checkout line. Just having intentions to try to maybe bless someone in the day, do something nice for someone, obviously in a safe way, because if you just, not a Safeway store, but in a safe way, because like you could approach someone at a gas station, or and want to pay their, and it could end poorly. We have to be conscientious of the violent spirit that's in the world, and I mean the spirit of the mind, the tendencies. People, you're a glass half empty, glass half full. you're that type of mindset, the spirit of the mind, that is negative. The vast majority, collective spirit of the mind, is very negative right now, and they like it that way. That's the sad thing. People like the evilness. They enjoy it, and it's hard to, I don't think you could ever really understand. Sometimes I think you watch something and you want to understand like why someone did something really bad. Like there has to be a real motive. If you're not evil, you really can't understand the evil that comes out. Like it's not you, and there's no connecting the two. You can't ever really understand it, and you could try, but it's not gonna work, which is good in a way. But a lot of people spend time trying to relate to evil and justify it, and I believe that causes them to be more delusional and go into evil. So we really just have to understand like what we see, and it's like what goes in is what's going to come out. You see that with AI. Bad crap has gone in, biased has gone in, and bad biased stuff is coming out. It's ridiculous. You can't use Google or any of that. So I did see that ChatGPT has removed, or at least begun to remove Reddit from their answers, which I think is going to be useful, because Reddit is obviously not facts. It's a very crazy place. So I know Google uses Reddit a lot, and Google is very biased in its training. I don't know if that's ever going to be able to be fixed, if it's too far gone to fix that. But anyway, and so where I'm from, all over, born in the USA, so that is where I'm from. But I did move to Venezuela when I was young, I think 12, And then I left when I graduated high school back to come to the US to go to college. So that is what, and then I've moved a lot. I've lived in Texas, I lived in Austin for a really long time, and then we moved to Nashville, and then I moved to New York, and then back to Texas. So I've moved all around. I've lived in Florida, Indiana, I've lived all over. So that's, I guess, my geographical biography. Okay, let's see. So, best friend listened race, I don't know if I answered that question exactly how you meant it. Maybe you were thinking more of like open to life. I don't know. So maybe you can rephrase it and help me understand what you meant. Maybe you were thinking in a more whimsical way, like, and I like took it more serious. I don't know. So Driss Crab, hi, hello. Am I considered Latina? Absolutely not. That's so funny. No. And it's not random. I did grow up in Caracas in Venezuela for a while. That was some formative years there. But no, I am just Caucasian. I'm just a white girl. Yeah, there is nothing Latina about me. I don't even think I look Latina. I might look a little Spanish just because they tend to be a little more pale. But nope, no Spanish, no Latina, no nothing, none of that in me. I'm European. That's about it. So less fun, I guess, but I'm okay with it. Let's see, Ivan, take this as an honest advisement. You need to stop a little bit the endless talking and interact more with the people from the chat. Possibly. And will I? Possibly. Possibly not. This is just sort of how I roll. I also don't, it doesn't make sense to just like say someone gives a message and then I just say like a few words about it. It feels like we should have, it's like a discussion, and if I would just sit in a room and listen, read the chat and then read the chat, like that's not really how you have a conversation. So we'll work on that, but I do think having conversations does require me to respond specifically to actual messages for a little longer than just like as fast as maybe some other people might like. So that is a personal view and I respect it. Okay, Stan, also I'm not concise, so I don't, and some people want me to be. I think that's a personality trait that I have, and I don't know that I want that to change. I think it makes me unique, and I kind of like that we're not all becoming the same. Well, a lot of people are becoming the same person. They're getting concise, they're doing their hooks, they're making sure that they're talking to everybody in the right amount of time. You can do that, but I just feel like then everyone becomes, the same, and I have no desire to be the same. So it's kind of like I want to push away from what is norm, right? I want to try to again be social, and I do think part of being social is having like interacting longer with every message, and I won't be able to do that when there's more people in the chat. Like right now there's about 28 people that looks like are watching, and 27 27 people that are watching. Someone didn't like that last thing, but that in the chat there's probably like 5 or 6 of you, and it makes it easier for me to interact in this way and have real, what I believe is more of a conversation. You can let me know if you hate it, and we'll see, but I don't know that it's even possible for me to do that without just losing my train of thought every 5 seconds. So specifically the cluster B bipolar. Okay, so I'll look into the cluster B bipolar, Stanley, and get a little more. I think that's fascinating, especially because it was something that people said that I had, and I was like, this is not that. So let's see, Jesse, hi Jesse 1381, hello, good to see you. And then best one, the Cinderace says, I think you're smart enough to self-diagnose, especially for mental health. For physical health, maybe an expert or professional. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are over-diagnosing themselves I think if there's something that is affecting you, that's when you should really look into it. Otherwise, you should just sort of be you. Bravery and faith describes your time you were sick. You made it to today and continue your journey. Thank you. I did become a Christian at like 36-ish. So it was late in the game that I officially became a Christian, but it really did help me through some of the really hard times that I had when I was the sickest. And I believe that's why I'm now well. So the things that doctors were like, no, you're never going to get better and you're going to get worse. And then I was getting worse, but I was like, no, this is not acceptable. And I have never been better my whole life. And that's when the Cinderace is talking about my grocery story when I was worried I wasn't going to make it through the night. And I did have to feed my cat extra and unlock my door. But I made it. I prayed a lot that day. And then Chuck Gilly, it's okay to make plans, just don't plan the outcome. That's a good thing. I mean, I think you can always know your intended goal. I think it's really important to be flexible. Like plans are so important. I'm a planner. I love to make a list. And so I'm all about making lists. I'm all about over planning. But I'm also, because I ran a live morning show for a decade, you plan everything and then that from the first hour, nothing's going to go as planned. You have to be extremely flexible, but you always kind of know the goal, the goal in mind. And so flexibility is so important. Being able to have plans and throw them out the window is very, very important. But I think for me especially, I was always a planner, and I really like to do that. I like to plan things. Sometimes I like to be really efficient, and so I like to think like, what can I do to go from here to my kitchen? Maybe I can do like 3 or 4 things on the way. That's the most efficient use of my time on the way to the kitchen, whether it's like bringing up the dish over here or getting my cat like fed here, or like there's like literally I think about those things. So I don't know, to each their own, but I definitely have I like to plan and make lists and be really efficient. That's something I enjoy doing. I don't know if that's everyone. Let's see. Ivan Pascabo. Thank you. He says, I'm beautiful, look healthy, and might be a very kind person. I might be. I'm trying. I'm not always kind. And what's in my head is not as kind as what comes out, but I think those are the things that we have to control, right? We have to, like when I see someone and I get really upset from their comments, and you just have to have mercy. I really have learned that you will be met with the measure you give people, right? So I need to give other people mercy as much as possible because I want that for myself. I don't say everything perfectly. I don't say everything right. And it also helps me with self-control, with temperance. So that's a really important thing to learn, is patience and temperance. So I do try to be kind. And then he continues, may I ask if you have a boyfriend or expect to meet one soon? I don't right now. I have been seeing someone for a while, for like a year or so, but right now, no. I would expect to meet someone, sure. That's like something that you actually have to work at, and so no. Right this second, I am currently single, but would I like to meet someone? Would I like to meet someone? Sure. As soon, yes. I'm not like delaying this on purpose or anything. It's just also, I have tried dating apps, and I have a video or 2 on dating apps. I don't like them. They're very difficult to really meet someone. And the culture that is out right now is very hookup-y, and so I realize I don't fit into that scene. I don't fit into the group. And if you go to like say a Christian app or those things, that's not really they're like grifting, most of them. And then like say you go to the third spaces, I think is what someone called it recently, which makes a lot of sense. I've heard that before. The third spaces are missing for especially people like me. You don't want to go to a bar. Why would I go to a place like I don't drink? So if I go to a bar, I'm gonna meet people who drink. So why would I go somewhere, when I don't enjoy drinking? And so like that doesn't make sense to me, but that seems like the only place where you meet people now is like a bar. And then things like they say like yoga class. I don't do things like yoga. That's demonic. So I don't do yoga. And like the gym, you don't really meet people at the gym. That's a weird space to meet someone. So then it's like, okay, cooking class, it's like, where do you meet people? And I don't have a dog, I have a cat. I'm not gonna walk my cat. So the dog park or something. I mean, it's just like my choices in life and my hobbies are tend to be solo hobbies. So that third space issue is a big deal. I remember I used to go to the park all the time. In New York, there was parks, and I would walk all the time. And I met a lot of people just at the park and walking around. That was a great way I met people. Here, the parks are more like family, and it's just kind of like a weird space. You don't go to the park here. It's just a different space than Central Park or Madison Square Park. Like, it's just a whole different space, right? Bryant Park. So yeah, I have to figure that out at this point. Right now, it is. I have a whole thing like we're in an isolation crisis. We're all being very isolated. So to meet people is a difficult thing, especially when you're older. I know I'm not going to be like many men, even many men my age, will not want a woman my age, and that I'm fine with. I understand they might want someone who has more years to share, who has more years for babies, those sort of things, and that's not something that I offer. So I'm aware of that, and that's why you tell women and they think that you're being like sexist, but no, it's just reality. It doesn't mean you're ruined. I'm not ruined in life, but there are going to be a massive amount of people who I'm not for them. And it's larger now than it used to be, and that's just the decisions you make, the way that life worked out. And it's how it happens. So that's my long answer. But see, this is why I can't just go fast to people. I can't do it because I want to have like valid answers. I want to have a real conversation with you guys about it. But this one, the Cinderace, I sort of answered the question. He was leaning towards the concept of life is short, so we should make plans for the future. Yeah, I do think I'm actually in agreement with you on that concept. If that's what you're saying, that you agree with the life is short, we should make plans for the future. Yes, I believe we should make plans for the future. We should make plans for today, but you have to live like every day is your last as well. You don't want to like be regretting something. What if something happens and then you're not able to do something later? Like circumstances change, and so that then you regret not having done something sooner. So like don't make plans for the future like holding off the important stuff, but like make a decision. Like, is it going to be okay that I don't have children or get married and I hit 40 and it may never happen? You have to understand that's a possibility. And I think a lot of people are delusional about that. Like you can get married, you can do that at any age, but it's a lot less likely. And not because it's impossible, and not because you should just never try to have kids, but if that is something you want to do in life, you should not say, I'm going to freeze my eggs and do it later. Okay, that is a bad decision. You can work as old as you want if work is your passion, but you can get married, I guess, as old as you want. You will have a lot less choices. You will be chosen a lot less, but you cannot have children. A lot of people cannot have children, even in some people, they'll hit late 30s and go through that. Some people, it doesn't happen until they're in their 50s, but it still makes it hard. I think at like 34, you're like geriatric. I believe. I don't quote me on that, but that's what they say. Like for pregnancy, it would be a geriatric pregnancy, and I believe it's a fairly young age of what it seems young to you, which is young in this world, especially with all the medical advances and our comfort and stuff. We're able to live longer. I mean, it's rapidly diminishing because of all the processed food and stuff, but you're not, you can't go through the physiological, I mean, there's a biological clock. And so if that is something you want in life, you just need to do it early. And so don't make the important stuff for tomorrow. Do the important stuff today. Focus on the important stuff today. And then, you can do the extra stuff. You can make goals and plans of like the work or your career stuff for later. That would be my thought process, especially as a woman. I'm speaking as mostly a woman. So let's see. Mike Mike C. Maybe an oversight on my part, but I think you're fairly new on the scene. What made you decide to become public? Yeah, I mean, I've actually been in entertainment for over 20 years. I started in my early 20s. I've been behind the scenes. So I was executive producer of a nationally syndicated morning show. It was award winning. I have an ACM award sitting over there, so best radio personality. So we did well. I've been in the public eye in that way. I left that show getting out of the public eye when I was 30, I believe, maybe 31, 32, I can't remember the year. 2016 is the year. I can't remember what age I was. I don't want to do math right now, so you can do the math. So it was about 2016 was when I left, and I went and I started doing contract work, and I moved to New York, and I just preferred behind the scenes. I was producer of a few different shows, and then obviously I've helped launch and produce a lot of YouTube channels, a lot of podcasts, and I never, even in my radio days, you could ask anyone from there, I didn't want to be on the air. I always preferred to be behind the scenes. That's all I wanted to do. I was like, do you want me on air? Do you want me to do my job? I'm a producer. I was the executive producer. I didn't have time, and I didn't have the desire to be in the limelight or to be the focus. I don't like my voice. I never, thought I looked like the hottest. I just never thought I was like the it factor gal. So I would hire people, I would want people that were prettier than me and talked better than me, spoke better, and were more that vibe. So I just never wanted to be in the public. The reason why I'm now doing this public is for several reasons. I have an isolation crisis video that I did. One of the reasons is because we're so isolated from each other in my life. I have a lot of people that I know, but very few people that think the same way as me, very few people that I can encourage and that encourage me and our similar hobbies and like-minded hobbies. There's just a loneliness, there's an isolation that comes with being surrounded by people that you love you, that you can't really have a conversation like this with. You can't just speak your mind about, especially in this day and age. There are several of them that are liberal, and they I've said it before, I've been hung up on before. They've asked me a question, I start answering, and then they're like, I just can't do it. they hang up on me. So, I have learned to be quiet. I have learned not to speak what I think. I'm obviously more conservative, and I guess right-leaning. I would say I'm moderate, but that's not what most people would call me in this era. But So I think there's that aspect, but then there was another aspect of, I know that I was taught the boss girl. I know what that does. I could have fought it. I learned about 24, 25 that this was weird, and I started changing around that time. I knew I wanted a family. I knew I wanted kids. By that time, I was already in a career, and I was sick. So I just didn't have the energy or the foresight to really know that I should have put everything aside and focused, right? So that is something I feel like I have as an experience to see the seeds that are being planted even worse now, and what it grew from 20 years ago to now, and where it's going. and to try to have a voice to say that this is a bad way. This is something that I regret in my life. And I think there's a lot of people who don't want to admit those things, and I just don't really care. I think it's important for the youth to know that there's other choices to be made, and the choices that they're being sold right now are bad, and they're dangerous, and they're limiting, and they're not biologically sound. They're delusional if they think that they can work until their mid-30s and then do all the stuff, and that's going to be as easy. It's just not. And that's important, I think, to tell people. And then as well as the amount of pushback and stuff that I always get, especially now that I am speaking, is more indication that they want to shut you up. And we're in a dangerous space if we let people shut us up any longer. We've already let them shut us up for too long that we got here. And we're in a space where if we don't speak our minds, if we don't show the other opinions, that we're not going to be able to soon. It is a war right now against Christianity, against white men especially, but men in general, and now against women, because and I saw it, and I was saying that this is where it's going. They're not going to be pro-women. This is not how it's going to end well for women. And women are the ones who are pushing this so much, that are getting these guys to agree with them. I don't know why the men didn't just stop it. I feel like we need male leaders here who aren't delusional. But for some reason I'm seeing so many men also agree with these crazy things, and that they wouldn't have prior. So this is all just insanity on a level of the people not allowing and being able to exist in a society or in a room with people with a different opinion is at a danger level. And when I see people like family members who feel unsafe putting up a sign in their yard, that's a problem. In the United States of America, it's a problem. If you feel unsafe to put up an American flag, that's not okay. And a lot of people are very scared, and they have a right to be. It's a scary time. There are dangerous people, just volatile, and nothing's being done about them. They're just running free, and people are being shut up and persecuted that are speaking more conservative mind. Like it's just everything's very backwards. So I understand when someone feels threatened and don't want to do it. So I just kind of I don't have kids. I'm not married. So like this is what I can offer the world. Just be brave and do it, So that's, I guess, why I'm doing it. The world is in a crazy place, and I think we need to do something about it. If you have the cojones, I mean, I don't, but the bravery, I don't know what the other word is, but just to do it, we need to do it. The people who feel brave enough to do it and can deal with it, it is psychologically damaging. There's psychological warfare going on, dealing with threats, dealing with the hate, dealing with being name called. That does affect you psychologically. So I've been through a lot in my life, so it doesn't hit me in the same way that I think it might hit someone else. If I'm a human, of course I get affected by things, but I can move forward on it. I'm pretty confident in myself and in my life and the uniqueness that I don't need everyone to like me, and so there is that. I feel like if you can do it, if you're able and willing, and you have nothing to lose here, why this is when we have to now start to do this and fight back in a way. And this is a way that I feel like I can fight back at some level, is to speak about it. But it's also I just want to talk about my thoughts, right? I could spend all day sitting there talking to the television, that I'm watching, being annoyed at it, or I could express my feelings here, and maybe someone will agree or disagree, but at least we're having some sort of discussion, and I'm getting this information out, I'm hearing myself talk about it, and I can explore ideas in a different way, and we can explore them together. And I like talking about entertainment and different things, and I talk about stuff in a big picture way, where I talk about the planting the seeds. So it's never just here's a review of the movie. Some people, it's let's discuss deeply about it. I'm getting ready to talk about The Furious. It's the Hulu show. It's Emmy Rossum. I've been enjoying it, but it's very different from, I believe it was the Black Widow, the what it's based off of. It's very different from that. They changed a whole lot of it, and I don't know. I think there's 2 more episodes left, so that's 2 more weeks left. Like, this week is already done, so I think there's 2 more weeks, I believe. It could go either way, so I'm interested in seeing what way it goes. Interested in if it's going to really, because right now it's already, the women are victims, but they are still villain. She's killing people. She's still a villain at this point. She's still getting chased, but I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. Anyway, so I do like to talk about those sort of things and about what it actually means, more than just like, was it a good or bad show, but like, what is the implications that we've watched this, and what is the implications of a person that watches this and just takes it in? What have they learned from this, and what behaviors are going to be taken away from this? Because some of the behaviors that I was originally expecting is, again, the Lindsay Clancy behaviors, the violence as acting out, the whole bride behaviors, that men created the woman monster and women just need to embrace the monster, but it's not their fault. And it's the dumbest thing ever. There are plenty of people that have been victimized and traumatized that have not become killers. And that should be the way that it is. We should help people and not have them, like, think that that's okay behavior. But a lot of people feel like right now that it's okay behavior. So that is, I guess, why I'm becoming public about this, I guess, Mike. And it's a hobby. It's just, I like talking, clearly. And I have no one to talk to. So that's what I'm doing. So Fusion Space, hi, nice to see you. I was wondering the same thing, only not as nicely. What did you fail at that you ended here? Oh, that's funny. Nothing. I still work. So I do that on the side. No, I mean, this is a hobby, so it's why I'm not consistent with it. It's why I never schedule anything. I had to do work today and then schedule this after work. This is just a fun hobby, so this is not my life goal, my dream. I don't want to be a host. I just like to talk. And I'm just doing it now because I think it's good for the world, but thank you for your honesty. Okay, best one, the Cinderace. Christian at 36, what did you believe in before? Nothing. I mean, I might have. No, I never thought about it. I guess, the whole spiritual, the new age stuff, like you just think like you believed in the universe, manifestation, whatever the crap that people feed you. I guess that's, I never really just thought about it. I wish on a star, tarot, like literally it was just a smorgasbord of whatever was there, right? Like it was spiritual. I believed in spirit, in the spirit world, that sort of thing, but that's about it. My family was Christian, I guess, some in general, but when I say become Christian, I mean like make Jesus Lord, because you have to actively do that. You can say you're Christian all day long, but if you don't make Jesus Lord and become obedient and change your behaviors in life and learn the Bible and read the Bible and renew your mind, like you're not really Christian. That's going to be Jesus saying like, depart from me, I never knew you, right? So I made Jesus Lord officially. Around 33 is when I started, but I don't believe that I truly believed it until around 36. So that was, a lot of people don't believe in anything, but I guess I had a spiritual, and my family, again, my mom grew up like Catholic or something. She's not Catholic anymore, but she is Christian. And, so it wasn't like Christianity was not what I assumed I was Christian, but I wasn't, you know what I mean? Like I never practiced it, so that's kind of, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's complicated for some people, but yeah, that's why it wasn't like really much. and I'm glad that now I have something like that. Fusion space, it just sucks that there's two completely different standards for the attention economy. A woman just has to be pretty and somewhat informed. A man can be an expert and go ignored for years. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Is that? I don't know if that's Hmm. I think men right now are not being um treated appropriately. They're not being respected. They're not being appreciated. They're being diminished on purpose. And I think right now, any man, an expert or whatever, will be completely treated poorly no matter what they say. Um, I don't understand the men who are on the side of the feminists who clearly hate them. It's ridiculous. So I guess they hate themselves. So stupid. Um, it. I mean, that's another reason why I'm here talking, because I know I'm a woman and I am able to talk about women in a way that they don't censor me the exact same way. You know, I still get censored, I still get flagged, but I can say some of these things, and that's why I do say it, because you see a man say it and they're shut down, they're banned, they're, you know, all of that stuff. So there is that, of course, a huge double standard. To say that I find the double standard everywhere, though. It's in the fact that, you know, you can't say anything bad about a woman without being misogynistic, but they can be misandrist all day long, and it's okay. That doesn't make sense. Obviously, we know that equity is not the same as equality if you have any intelligence, but it's feminisms are using the word interchangeably, meaning equity. They don't want equality, and we can see that in how men are treated. So I do agree with you. I mean, a man can be an expert and ignored for a lot of reasons, but I believe it's because they're a man. I mean, there's no way around that. It's women have a lot easier time in life and in getting attention and the algorithm and all of that. Um, Women don't watch me, but men tend to watch me. But I only watch mostly male stuff. I don't find a lot of women that I agree with or that I enjoy watching. I really like to watch male experts. So there's there's a group of us that do want to see more of that, and there is the isolation issue. Is a lot of the women that are out there, especially, are doing rage bait stuff, and they're the algorithms do like that. They like the crazy women saying extreme things, and people are watching them. Women are especially watching them, and then men are watching them for, you know, probably because they're attractive. So it's kind of a mixture. So someone with a little more based opinions, even a woman, are definitely being shut out from the algorithm perspective. It's not trending in the same way. You know, you have some conservative women who I don't know if they're really conservative or not, but they're more showy and they're beautiful. Seems like they might not be super conservative with some of the stuff that they're wearing, but, you know, maybe mentally or like ideologically they're more conservative, and they seem to be doing okay. So yeah, I feel like those women need to come up more. The younger ones, younger than me, hotter than me, and they need to start saying the stuff and opening the door. My goal is that I say more of this, that we do more of this, and it just allows the environment more. That it allows men to speak up more. That is the goal, but you're not inaccurate. It's not incorrect. Incorrect. Speaking of not an expert speaker, yeah, fusion space, I agree. It's not inaccurate what you're saying. And then you continue here. No matter what I ever do, there's a glass ceiling on how much of a following I can ever have, and it's way lower than it would be if I had the right chromosomes. What are you an expert in? Fusion space makes me try less and less over time. I mean, that is the goal, right? Like, the goal is to wear you down, to kill your spirit, to make you stop trying. So don't stop trying. Just do it. Do it for fun. I do it for fun. I don't do it for a following. Um, I just do it because I like to talk, and I think it's important. It is important that you keep speaking. Um, you you could try to get like an AI avatar of a hot chick and see if that helps your channel. But people, go to Fusion Space 175. Go subscribe. Go see what he's about. I don't know anything about your channel, so I can't endorse you or not, but I can say you're here, and people go check him out, see what he has to say. I'll check him out after this. We don't. We are being siloed so that we will give up, so that we will allow the same narrative to happen, and just give up and stop trying. So that's a reason why we need to stop allowing that, and we need to keep talking. Even if there's only one person in your chat, it sucks. I mean, not for me, because I could have a conversation with myself clearly, but I need less people in my chat so that I can really keep up with it. But we have to keep going. We have to keep talking. We are being trained out of it. They want to kill your spirit. They want you to try less. They want you to change what you're saying, to be hookable. They want everyone to say the same thing. They want you to be like a Mr. Beast or some rage baiter, and there's nothing in between that the algorithm even understands. It understands patterns, and it understands the big trends. And so the more information it gets, the more it's going to push to the trends, and the less you're going to have visibility. Virality, like you get one big hit, it's not going to change the algorithm. It's going to treat every tweet, X message, what's it called now that it's X? It's X. Every tweet, every video, everything that you're putting out, no matter where you are. I don't use Instagram. I don't use TikTok. I have them for my family, but I post like a Christmas tree once a year, so I just don't do those. But every time you put something out, it treats it like brand new. It doesn't look at any of your following, any of that anymore, especially if you're a smaller creator. There was some study that said, I think the algorithm needs 250 pieces of information to actually sort you and catalog you into the system, just because it's such a cluster, and it cannot save so much information. But that probably has changed by now. But that was sort of like the measure of like, get 250 things out there, and it will start actually remembering you and cataloging you. But I don't know how often the algorithm now just purges everything. At this point, it seems completely R-word. I don't like to curse or say bad words, but it's dumb. So anyway, so that's what I would say, Fusion Space. I hope you don't give up, and I hope more people come out, and more people talk, and even though they're not getting anybody seeing them, one person might see them, and that's maybe one person that needed to see them and then wants to speak. Like, we need to stop letting the attention matter. We need to stop letting the follows and views matter. And if you like someone, I'm telling everyone, including myself, if you like someone, you need to make effort. Not just expect the algorithm to feed it to you, but actually go to those people. And that's where you have to be more selective about who you follow and what you subscribe to, but then try to actually help those people get more views, get more of that following, if you want them to succeed. So we have to be more intentional. And it sucks. Like, it's like, why should I have to do that with entertainment? But if we want to change anything, it's not changing how we've been acting. We really have to push. And now with YouTube, I think they changed how their views work. I would suggest not using the home feed ever. I don't use the home feed anyways, but now I would use it less, based on some of the changes that they've recently announced. But it may or may not help you, Fusion Space, that they now, even if something mouses over, like when you're in a feed and it just starts playing it, autoplays it, that's now counted as a view, which it didn't prior. So this could help you get more views if you're actually if the algorithm shows you to anyone in any feed, it could count as a view, but it also could hurt you. Think about it, because if you get a view but then someone's scrolling, then it acts like you only got, it might help your click-through rate technically. I don't know if that's going to change, but it will count as a view. I don't think it counts as a click-through yet. I'll have to look at the exact data that they're talking about. But your average view duration, if that counts as a view and someone's scrolling and they watch like 15 seconds just in that little preview that you're watching, that could actually hurt your reach. It could now say, oh, this person's not interested in this video, even though it was just playing on a feed and they never clicked into it in the first place. So it's not the best choices, but YouTube never really makes the best choices. I'm not sure who's making the choices, probably a woman. So they should probably fix that. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, Stanley says there's yoga studios with pets. Yeah, it's stupid. I don't do yoga. Cat yoga makes a lot of sense. I mean, my cat, I do stretching lessons from the best. Oh my gosh, my cat's the cutest. I do actually have to work out my cat. I feel like with animals and stuff, you really have to, like, especially with cats and a house cat, you have to like work extra hard. I was really nervous because he almost died a few times. He got sick, and so like you always want to make sure they're eating now, and I feel like it's hard, you know, to have a cat lose weight, but it's possible. My cat has lost weight, but a big part of it is us having to like exercise with them and take out that time every day to exercise and get them moving. But yes, cats are good stretching. It's a cute joke. They have goat yoga. I've seen that, and that actually looks funny. I would never do it, but yeah, have you seen that, where it's like you do yoga and then like goats stand on you? It's weird. I mean, the things people do, but you know, someone's doing it. So best one, the Cinderace. Yeah, I mentioned third spaces and missing. Yes, are missing. Thank you. So best one, the Cinderace, was the one who mentioned the third spaces issue in a previous live stream of mine, and that was where I had heard that, and I like that terminology. So thank you for presenting that. And it is an issue. Social media made third spaces disappear, exactly, and social media is not social, and even the socialness that it had prior, because you would be connected with your friends, is no longer there. So it is really a bad space. It's killed any socialization and any social behavior. It's a very antisocial space. Instagram is really bad. It's like, I guess you use Instagram if you have a lot of pictures to take. I'm not a picture person. I don't like pictures. I don't like taking pictures of myself. So, and selfies always seem so weird. It's so awkward. I hate pictures so much. So I just don't get Instagram. I never got it, like who wants to take pictures of their food, and I just never understood it in the first place. I never had anything to post on it. I've always liked Twitter prior. I hadn't been on X since like 2019. So it was still Twitter when I last was on it, and then I recently, only in the last few weeks, have re-emerged on X. So that it's X now, but that's why I always like Twitter compared to anything else, because I could just type, and I like talking and typing, and that's where I decided to do YouTube, because out of any social media, I see it as social media, out of any social media, YouTube is the one that I'm best at. Like, I can just talk for an hour. So I felt like it fit me the best. Out of any of these small like shorts feeds and that stuff, it's just not for me. Clearly, I'm not the short-winded person who can get my point across quickly. I've never been that person. So for my social media, I chose YouTube. A lot of people don't get to see it, and it's frustrating that people that follow me don't see it, but some people are seeing it on their feed. A lot of women that follow me don't see it, so they seem to be siloing women from each other for some reason. I'm not sure. The algorithm is really dumb right now. So, but yeah, we're starting to finally see the pushback, as Best One Cinderace says, and I feel like perhaps there's going to be, like, I have to think about what, I don't have a lot of group hobbies, so I need to find a group hobby, and then, you know, do that, and maybe that's where you meet people. It is like it's a complicated life right now to figure out where to meet someone without being like a weirdo, you know. And again, like where I'm at, parks are for families and children, and so an adult woman at a park by herself is you know, going to be side-eyed by women, like, are you trying to get my husband? No, I'm not, ma'am. And are you trying to get my child? No, I'm not. But I could see how both could seem. I mean, we're in a world, you have to be aware that that's what people might be thinking. So yeah, I'll have to figure that out. So whatever those spaces are, and the meetups and those things just don't make sense. I don't understand the whole, even the singles meets and things. I feel like what people expect are so different nowadays too, and people want to do like interviews, and you know, I don't want to do an interview. I just want to get to know someone, you know, like naturally. I there's a lot of things that even the last guy I dated for about a year or so, we just recently, you know, aren't I don't know a lot of the stuff about him still. So I mean, we're friends, but you know, it's funny the difference. I think it's just the type of people I'm not like a lot of people that I know. There are people like me, I'm sure, but I'm just not that person that wants to sit and have like an interview and figure everything out about a person right away. I just think that's odd, and I don't connect with someone that way. Let's see, Fusion Space also says you can adopt. It can be fulfilling with genetic legacy if that option is gone. Oh, without genetic legacy? Yeah, I mean, you can adopt, and so, you know, yeah, it's something that I would have to be in a right space. Do I feel like that's an appropriate thing as a single mother? I don't think so. I think if I brought a child into my family, I would want them to have the best chance, and they would need a father figure that's healthy, to have the female figure and a father figure and a leader of the house. So I agree that adoption can happen once you get married, and you know, if you can't have babies by that time, I can still have babies, but if I couldn't when I did get married, if that happens, then you know, I could see adoption within a family unit. But being a good parent is in short supply, is what Fusion Space continues. And he'd say more people have kids who shouldn't than the other way around. And I absolutely agree with that. And, you know, I do agree that there's a lot of children that do need adopting. And that is an option. And I think it's an important option to have and to think about. Especially, but also knowing, like, what you're bringing them into. Obviously, you know, you can be successful, and as a single mother, you'd be more likely to be given a child from an adoption agency than a single father, which I find, you know, that seems to be the case right now. But I wouldn't want to do that. But yes, definitely later in life. But then you also have to think about, like, okay, you're later in life, like, do you want your child to have an elderly parent when they're 30? And is that fair? Do you know what I mean? So there are things that you do that are very selfish later in life that could ultimately hurt your child later. But is that a reason not to have kids? I don't know. That I haven't thought too hard about that, but it is an implication you have to think about. And then let's see. Best One Cindere says, even if the pushback is small, let's start making real life connections normal again, right? I mean, it is, yeah, we have to try to have real life connections. I don't know how, but third spaces. So let's all brainstorm ways to make third spaces doable. We're in a place with crazy people, though. And so you understand why people want to avoid other humans now. You never know what that human is going to be, right? So Fusion Space says, I'm going to the other way myself. I'm chromopilled, technologically chrome-pilled. I don't know what that means. Oh, like a red pill, but chrome-pilled? I'll have to look that up. You're using all these fancy stuff. You're obviously an expert. Technology is my path forward. Simulating and replacing the broken parts of humanity is the happiest we can be. I mean, you know, I've seen a lot of people talk about, like, AI. I mean, you guys got to work on that. If AI is going to replace your partners, got to make it better, faster, guys. Work harder. Make AI more, less dumb. I mean, I guess if depending on what you think about women, it might be the same intelligence at this point, but it really is horribly stupid at this point. So I'm not sure when that's going to happen, that we can really replace any part of humanity with just technology, but you know, they're working on it. So yeah. And then you can have this world, give me the brain chip and the digital world. Yeah, so Fusion Space is also talking more of like a matrix space, you know. What is that one with was it Tom Cruise, Vanilla Sky? Even that idea, Vanilla Sky, and so they're like in a fake world. Might have even been Inception. There's a few different movies that have done this concept. Some by choice, others like The Matrix are not necessarily by choice. So yeah, I mean, there is the concept of if you want to have your fake world, your meta world, and I feel like right now they're already creating meta spaces, so maybe that's what you meant, less of like AI girlfriend, more like AI girlfriend in a meta space, like not like a robot, but like an actual I mean, it does, like, do you not want any, like, I guess, so you're thinking, like, the brain chip would simulate even physical touch, like you would feel something. I mean, that's a very interesting concept, and I'm sure they're, like you said, they're working on it, so, you know, let me know how that goes. But I guess you would have to create, like, a world, like a Vanilla Sky world, right? Like you're in a permanent dream, and that's what you would prefer. To each their own. Ivan Pascabo says, I would love to meet you and even have a chance. Oh, you know, I'm not looking to meet people on this online, but, you know, I do appreciate connecting and conversing with everybody. So thank you, Ivan. That's a very kind offer. If you're involved in a third space, that we happen to meet one day. But yeah, I'm not looking to meet people on this platform or any platform that I'm talking on, but that's a nice, very nice, thank you. Fusion Space, and guys like that are why hope springs eternal, but a fool and his money are soon parted. And then he continues, see, I don't really buy her deal. I think she's just saying what fits the sane woman brand and seeing how far it takes her. Okay. Well, I mean, to each their own. I don't prefer when people put intent into someone else of what they're saying. But, you know, like, you can think everything you want, Fusion Space. I think it's kind of a malintent when you start to say, like, this is what a person is actually doing, like this exact human. I know their intentions. But I also know that you can't live off of other people's thoughts of you. Truth in time tells all, and you know, the only way you show anything is by doing something. So, you know, a lot of people will say those things, and it's a little too convenient. I think that's a little silly too. So I would say that you're going a little off the edge on that. I think that's not accurate, and I don't really respect when someone's trying to show a piece of themselves and people just come on and say what they see behind it as an intent, and because they say something that actually makes, like, it's too convenient because someone says something. I mean, whatever, that's fair, it's what you think, but I would discount a lot of things people say if they start acting like they understand another human's intent just because they say something that you call convenient. So I don't know. Duplensky, hey yo, hi Duplensky, nice to see you. And then of course the come to Jesus stuff. Oh, so Fusion is still complaining about Jesus. That's great. Sorry you're a skeptic. You know, you can see anything with suspicion, and that's fair. I believe you are too jaded. But, that is where you are. You have no proof for your doubts. Now, this is a silly thing. You can only have evidence. You can never have proof of someone's intentions. So I think you have to go with what evidence you see until someone shows evidence otherwise. So you actually saying that you have doubts without actual evidence is illogical. So you're just being negative and trying to find something to nitpick at that point, which that's fair. It's valid for you, but I don't feel like that's a very social way to be. It's very antisocial. But again, you want to be in a chip world, so yeah. Duplensky, I think most people aren't fit to care for a houseplant. I worry about that in myself, like what I could be. I think any parent does worry about that. But we do have so many people who aren't able to function themselves that are having children, and that's weird. We're in a really big mess. But less people procreate is a good thing. I mean, I think a lot of less people are procreating. I think the people that are procreating aren't necessarily the best. But yeah, if you're hoping that less people are procreating, that is a big mass plan. I believe, as a conspiracy theorist that I am, I believe that's a big mass plan. I believe that's a Bill Gates plan. He said it. So yeah, they want to lower our population. So yeah, that is true. And then so fusion space continues. Female selection is why. Okay, saying my name like you're teaching me something. The men who stood up were left behind and unchosen, not listened to, not followed. Women man shop to hear what they wanted. I mean, yeah, women have sucked. I don't even know what to say about that. I can't argue with you. Women made speaking truth to them unpopular. I mean, women make speaking truth unpopular in general. So yeah, that's valid. Very point. Good luck convincing women at large to be less selfish and evil. I agree. It's an uphill battle. Most people are selfish and evil. I am selfish. We all have these tendencies, so it's 100% an uphill battle. We're all selfish. I mean, you have to work every single day not to be selfish. When I was sick all the time, especially being sick makes you really selfish. It's like you're just so focused. Not because I just was mean to everyone, but you're so self-focused when you're sick. And I believe that society wants people to be sicker and sicker and sicker, and they want us to be more self-focused. They want us to focus on how we look. They want us to focus on just everything about ourselves. I mean, this is a selfish society, and we're being trained to be selfish. So that is 100%. I absolutely agree. So Fusion Space, I hope you build some good robots. Good luck on that. He says he'll build robots instead of women. That's fair. A lot of people are, I don't think it's Chrome-minded. I think that's a black pill. But I guess Chrome-minded is about technology now. That's what I would assume. So Best One says everyone is either too liberal or too conservative. There really isn't a middle ground. I mean, I think that there's a lot of middle ground. I just think we put people in boxes. So I believe that there's a lot of middle ground. We just put ourselves and other people into tribes and boxes, and that's all we want to do is just categorize everyone and separate us. And then Ivan Cajon is the guts. Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Guts. Thank you. Someone who has guts, because he was trying to give me a better word. So yes, someone who has more guts. Thank you. That's bravery. More bravery. That's the word we were looking. Let's see. Stanley. The name calling means you are getting under their skin. Yeah, and I think it is a good, like, they have nothing else to say, I guess, once you go that direction. They're in their emotions rather than any sort of logic space. But it also is another space of, like, can you really convince someone once you've hit emotional space? And I believe we're in such an environment right now that our emotions are so high and on edge, and that's the goal, is that we want to insult people, we want to tell them things, we want to make them feel bad, but not just us, but like society. And then it turns into like a where we're all on heightened emotions, so no one can make any rational, calm decisions. You can't change anyone's mind. You can't do anything that seems more reasonable, because we're in a heightened emotional state constantly. And I believe that we're put in an environment for that to happen, and we're being trained behaviors for that to happen, so that we're all in a space that we don't want to interact with each other, that we can't hear negativity toward us, that we can't do those things and function rationally anymore, and make agreements and come to compromises and understanding where people are coming from, because someone has their point of view and their opinion, and it's valid as their point of view and opinion. Is it something that you agree with? It might not be, but you have to acknowledge that it's what they're believing, and there's no way to address people or change people's minds or even have any internal discussion together, interpersonal connection, if you cannot accept that other people think differently than you, and about you, and you about them, and not be able to interact or try to have a conversation. So let's see. Best one, the Cinderace is asking about robots building, to see if Fusion can build robots. I'm intrigued by that as well. Sounds like he's an expert in something. So seems like there might be. He says he's built. Okay, so he continues. Chuck Gilly, the good Lord has called you to action. Thank you. I'm trying, and I try to do it not in like a this is Jesus talking way. Like I just want to like say rational things, to maybe help someone else say what they think is rational, and keep doing it. I don't know. We have to try, and we have to try to do it and not get caught up in the selfish behavior that it causes, right? Like, we can't think about getting followers. We can't think about that, because it's so easy to go into that and then have that be the thing. Like, if you have success, oh, okay, so now I'm going to keep talking about this because that was successful, and like, you have to try to really not get pulled by the attention, get pulled by those sort of things. Again, we are absolutely a selfish society, and humans are selfish in themselves, like, already, but our society is so selfish. It's so self-centered. It's like a battle to get out of that every single day. And as a woman, I believe we have tendencies to even be more self-serving and selfish. I do think that might be something because we understand our limitations. I know that I can't lift a tire, even if I wanted to change a tire, and I know how to do it. I need a man to help me, or a very strong woman, or several of us. Like, I can't do it. I can't even get the bolt, whatever that's called, the bolts out. So those sort of things, or like to build a house, or there's certain things that I just can't do, and I know that, and I don't even have even if I knew mentally how to do it, I wouldn't be able to do it. And I feel like there's something ingrained in women that we understand that. I think we're made to help men, to nurture in our ways, but when we try to be men, I don't think that's working out for us, and I don't think women are very great leaders. I think there can be a good woman leader, they're just few and far between, and it takes a lot of temperance, and it takes a lot of self-governing for any good leader, but especially I think women, we have a different set of hormones, and we are very emotional, and it's something you deal with and you're aware. Women deal with emotions in a very different way. We have crazy emotions, and it's up and down, and it's a constant wave. So it's something where when you allow that to be your identity and your existence, you're really going to go off the scales. You have to fight against that being who you are, and making decisions based on emotions. And a lot of times it's hard to get out of your emotional state enough to make a rational decision. I mean, as a woman, I feel like the best decisions you make, like when you get in a really emotional state, would be to or you're really upset about something, to step away from it for quite a while until you're calm about it, and then come back and think about it rationally. It's very hard to do that, but I feel like that is useful. And then Fusion Space was talking about how he does build some stuff. He's not attached to a company, but he's built toys and machines his entire life to the point he's an artist in many fields. That's good. And he hopes to have something ready to show venture capitalists within a year and hit the lowest market and the everyman's solution. Cool. So yeah, people follow him, see what that's about. I'm assuming that on his space, on his YouTube, he's talking about this a little more. But it may not be a humanoid robot, he says, but more of a VR headset and a box. Like we were talking about, like the Vanilla Sky concept of, you're in a meta world, but like he said, you have to start somewhere at some point. Maybe that chip could actually help you have sensory connections, right? In your hands and your arms, you could hug someone, those sort of things. So that is interesting. And then Fusion Space also is an actor and a writer of some talent, so realizing the human part is a challenge. I also look forward to, so understanding like that and the robot stuff. It's an artistic venture first and foremost, but a functional product at the end. But I tired the good man bit for 20 years, trying to save one woman I thought was good and was let down as hard as a man can be. Lindsay Clancy's poor husband excluded, of course. So he's given up on women and can't say it's for every man, but it's his chosen path. A lot of men have chosen that way. It's for a lot of men. Unfortunately, can you blame someone in the state we're in? I do think there are good women. I'm sure there are good younger women, but everyone can turn bad. Everyone can be manipulated and manipulative. So you can even start good or start well intentioned and just completely go off the rails. It's so easy. So you can't ever control anyone else is the issue, I guess, in any relationship. You can hardly control yourself, right? But like, you can't control anyone else. You can't control how they change. Even if you put everything into it, they can do completely horrible things. So it's a gamble. And at this level, I know a lot of people never thought that was an option, especially men, to not do that. But now men have chosen, and they have these spaces that are going their own ways, and it's been healthier for them and their lives and their mental health in certain ways. So do I think that's the healthiest for the world? No. But would I say just go date a crazy woman to date someone? No, that doesn't make sense. So if that's all you're seeing, why would you go into that dating pool? So I can see that completely. Chuck Gilly says, in one of my videos, I reminded him to be less self-centered and be more centered. The Lord has reached me through you. Oh, well, thank you, Chuck. I'm so glad. It is a constant battle. I say it a lot, but it's just because we're so selfish. I see it in myself. We are so selfish, and it's just so easy to go down that self-centered road and to think about ourselves only. And in every situation, it's something that if I can do it, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to remember to put myself after, to put myself not in the forefront of this and think about the other people involved in the situation. And I'm grateful I can do it now because I was so sick and that was really impossible to do prior. So I am really grateful now that I can even try, but that is something that is, I find I'm happier in life because I'm trying to put other people ahead. But it's not like I do it perfectly. So when I say that, don't think that I'm like, oh, I've figured it all out. I have not. It is a constant thing. I have to be like, oh, well, you're being selfish. And I have a lot of negative, some people call it black pill stuff in my head. I mean, I think it's realistic. I call it realism. But that's why when I say like what's in my head is not always the nicest, that's the stuff that I'm like, oh, because I just want to, there's plenty of times that I feel the urge to curse somebody out who's attacking me, and I don't, and I don't like to cuss, so I don't, but like you think it, and you have to like then make decisions, think about this person, where they're coming from, and how we're supposed to treat people with mercy. And so then I just bless them and I try to pray for them. I usually don't respond. Sometimes I troll people. I have a dry sense of humor. I can be somewhat sarcastic. Sometimes people don't get that. So I tend to troll some angry people sometimes, just to see where they're going to go. A lot of times you just watch them and they tend to go through like this series of like, first they attack you and then you kind of come back and you're not even like upset about it, and you just address like what they said incorrectly, and then they'll come back and be try to start sweet talking you or something, like say some compliments to you just to try to get you, like, I don't know, like get empathy of some level, but then like you don't bite on that, and then they go back to being angry and controlling. And so it's definitely interesting. It's fun to watch the patterns, and it seems to be the same pattern every time, so that's kind of fun. So you can watch. I sometimes troll people. I try not to, though. I try to just bless them and move on. but it's not always, it doesn't always work. So I'm working on it, everybody. We are working on ourselves day by day. It is a constant battle. And then Mike says, thanks for answering my question so thoroughly. All the best to you. Thank you, Mike. All the best to you. I'm assuming, you might have work or something, or a life. Good things for you. So if you've already gone, thank you. Thank you for your kind words. And then Fusion Space says you gotta have a plan in life. I absolutely agree. And then Fusion Space says, oh, she better stop reading my comments. It's not going to be good for her. I know I'm a toxic personality. I need to self-isolate like I do. I have no friends and live like a hermit. Well, I hope you get, you're fulfilled in some layer of your life. And I do hope that you get this robot thing going on. I find it useful and interesting. So, and people definitely look at Fusion Space stuff. But, yeah, I don't find you a toxic personality. I feel like you're being honest, and if that's how you feel, then that's how you feel. Let's see, Fusion Space. Tell her not to worry about me. I'm taking off. I forget sometimes other people can see and hear me, and I'm not in the virtual world yet. Not yet, but good luck on that. All the best. I think it's important that we hear each other. I think it's important that we listen. And look, best one, the Cinderace. Stanley says, take care. Yes, thank you, Stanley. You're so kind. Best one, the Cinderace as well, says she tries to read every comment. It's my personality. It really is. I try to. So yeah, if you have something bad to say to me, I'm gonna read it. And it's fair. And I'll try to respond as best as I can, as unemotionally affected as I can. I do my best here, guys. But it's important. We have to be able to have someone tell us what they believe is the truth. That doesn't always make us feel good or make us look good or any of that. We have to be able to have these conversations effectively. We can't scream at people and get super offended, and we have to see like where they're coming from in these spaces. There's no way that we're ever going to change this delusion that is happening, especially in women, if we don't start listening to these things and try to find this weird, it's not really middle ground with someone who's absolutely insane, volatile, and crazy, but you can't understand how they got, like, how to change if you don't know how they got there. And if you're just attacking them, they're going to go crazier. So it's like we have to find a way to interact with people. I don't know if we've gone too far, if it's too far. I don't understand women especially. I mean, I think other people, I've seen mostly women who are okay with this Lindsay Clancy's and the Luigi Mangione and any of the stuff that is okay with hurting people and children. And like there's some ever a reason for there's not, and it's so that is it's I don't know if we've gone too far, and there's no way back. Like, how do we live in a society with people who are so selfish and so self-serving that they don't see anyone else as humans, but especially children? and they see animals as more important than children, which seems to be weird. I love animals, but they're not this more important than children. I think we should be kind to all creatures. But, you know, like someone who is willing to fight for animal protections but not for babies is crazy to me. I don't get it. And I don't know how to get back. I mean, it was the title of the video. I don't know. And then you see the women in Hollywood, and you're telling someone, I told you my story earlier, that I was trying not to get my, just this collarbone, clavicle? Is it clavicular? He's that influencer guy. He's a Manosphere kid. Looks Maxine. Okay, so the clavicle. It's clavicle. Anyway, you know, try not to get, I told you my story of getting so sick that I was really, and you could never see these bones right here. You could never see my ribs right here, or the back, all my ribs. Like that, even in my part, I was 89 pounds on average, 103 to 105, just for reference. So I had lost a lot of weight. I'm 5'3", and I was never that skinny, and I was so weak, and I couldn't eat, and I was so sick, and it was painful. And so I'm seeing women like this, and then you tell someone or you mention it, and then you're this like horrible body shamer, and so yeah, I don't know, you know, or how to discuss with someone who everyone's super shocked about, you know, someone ODing who has had opioid issues, and it's sad, but is it shocking? Where were you at this point, like helping them? Because when someone says they're in recovery, it just takes one slip up, especially in the synthetic opioid era, right? So these are things that it's like you can be in recovery and have a bad day, a bad night. Like you can't just, like, we have to understand things, and we also have to understand, like, someone saying everything's fine doesn't necessarily mean everything's fine. Most people don't want to tell people their issues, right? That's embarrassing. So even me talking about all this stuff is embarrassing in a way. I mean, I care a little less about it. I'm fairly an open book, but you know, there's a lot of things that are that I say that I guess it's weird to talk about sickness, especially that it's easier now. That one is harder just because it's hard, and I'm still recovering mentally from it, and like my identity from it. But I think it's important to express these things, the stuff that I know about, at least what I can say about certain things like the depression or something, because maybe it'll help someone. Everyone's experience is so different, and you can't just say because they said something or they thought something, you know, to Fusion's point, just because someone says something doesn't mean that's the truth. Truth and time tell all, right? So you have to kind of support people and hope for the best, and some of them pray for them. I mean, oh, Trenton Cook, hi, and Chris Moore, hi. Just Crab, where did you guys come from? I bet you said that a long time ago and already left. Hi guys. How am I doing tonight? Chris says. Chris, I'm doing great, thank you. It is 2 hours in, and so I'm gonna wrap up fairly soon. It's a work night. It's a school night, guys. But I'm good. Hi Chris, and Just Crab, hello. He's a member. You have said about conservatives going off the deep end. Did you see the Candace Owens debate? I only watched a bit, as I'm not a fan of either Candace or the other dude. But the Israel Kirk issue is getting annoying now. Yeah. I did not watch the debate. I don't really know, what is his name? Andrew? I know of that show that he has. I see a lot of clips, places, and things. I never watch them. I'm not really sure about him at all. I don't know anything about him. I might follow him on X recently, but again, I was just trying to follow people. I had not been on X in such a long time. But I don't watch anything with Candace Owens. I don't think she's good for the world right now. I'm praying for her, but she's I don't think her delivery or the way that she speaks is representative of rational conservatives or a godly person that she claims to be. I don't know anything about her other than what she says, and I find it's some evil there, so I don't follow her. And that's my experience and feeling about Candace Owens. So I did not see the debate, and yeah, the whole Israel, like, listen, I support Israel. I'm told to in the Bible, but there's a difference between Israel and the government. There is. I don't follow the government stuff, so, you know, so I hear people all going into that. I have no stake in that game. I don't know anything about the governments, and we know governments can be corrupt regardless of where they are. So I don't know. I don't know anything about it, and nor do I care to. That's not a hill I'm willing to climb, even, let alone die on. And then yeah, the whole Kirk. We're almost a year now. It's like a month away, right? And it needs to stop. It needs to move on. But she seems to make a lot of videos about it, so there's a reason she's doing it. You just have to let it go, I guess, move forward. I mean, how everything was handled doesn't seem like a friend would handle it. Having not lost anyone in that way, I've lost people, but in that way, I don't know. If that's also a traumatic response, I don't know, but it does not, I can't know anyone's intent, so I just pray for everyone involved. But yeah, it is old in my feed. If I see something about that, I don't follow it. I usually block the person who's discussing it, because I just, like, it's not about them. It's just I don't need to see that stuff anymore. I don't need to see these conspiracies on that and what's going on. It's not my family, and I don't know. So anyway, I wish I had like a better thing to say about it, just crab, but like it's from the beginning, it's been such a evil surrounding that whole conversation, not just with Candace, but surrounding everything, that it's I've definitely separated myself from that, but that is one of the reasons why I started to speak about it, because of the violent behavior toward people who thought differently was too extreme. And I felt like that was such a danger to allow fear to stop us, and that's what they want to do. They want to stop you from talking because you're afraid. So that is one of the reasons. Around that time, it was in November, is when I started deciding to post and actually talk about something. And I was nervous about it because you do get extreme responses, but after a while you really get used to it. And it's worth it to talk and have a different opinion. But yes, the conservatives going off the deep end, Megyn Kelly was never conservative in the conservative way. So, I used to be executive producer of a show on SiriusXM Progress for a little bit, and the host would go over, she was progressive, probably a Dem socialist by now, and she would go on Megyn Kelly, and this was when Megyn would be on Fox, and so we would be in the Rockefeller buildings, and she would go across the street to the Fox building and talk on there, and I guess I never saw Megyn Kelly as actually conservative. Even some of her views, it's a little feminist in some of her views. So older feminist though, but she still has some boss girl in her. I think a lot of us this age do. I mean, she's a little older than me, but I assume we're similar. I don't know how old she is, quite honestly. But I assume she's just a little older than me, not much. Anyway, so, and then like the other conservatives, I don't know. When you're in the news world, everything gets so extreme. It's not that you're never conservative, we just are constantly changing, and the goalposts in our lives and our brains and our hearts are moving, and oftentimes we go off and we get so into the space that we're in that we can't see the forest for the trees, and that's what I feel like is happening to a lot of people. But I also do agree that some of these, because I'm not opposed to a good conspiracy theory. I believe a lot of people are paid to be a certain way, and I can't tell you who is, but you can see some of the people who have been consistent through time and some of the people who have really gone off the rails, and you start to wonder. But could it just be that they've lost their way? It could be that they just lost their way. Anyway, we just have to try to bless people and pray for them. Let's see. Best one, the Cinderay says, everyone can tell the algorithm what they want to watch on YouTube. Everyone has a personalized homepage now. Yeah, and guess what though? When you actually try to tell the algorithm what you want, it won't pull up everything that you want. I can ask for a specific person and it won't pull them up. So they need to work on it. YouTube's algorithm is the worst. I can tell you, when I went on X, after I've worked on, Claude, and I've worked on ChatGPT, the OpenAI, I've worked on all different open source and paid for products for different types of AI, except for Grok. I never worked with Grok, and so I decided to start working with Grok, and I decided to come back to X. I've been on Instagram before. I really never did TikTok. I tried like once or I've posted a few videos on TikTok. I hate TikTok so much. It's just not my content, and I don't like watching anything on it. I went on it for my sisters who did it, and I couldn't even do that. But when I look at the YouTube algorithm compared to all of them, it's the dumbest and the worst. So whatever algorithm they are using, I mean, Google owns it, so like the ABC company, so I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure why, if it's Gemini, what is it, but it's stupid. It's the dumbest one. It's the worst one. It's the worst search and discovery of all of them, just like Google is the worst of all of them right now. But when I go to X, I see a marked difference. It still has certain things where you can feel siloed or whatever, but I mean, that's any algorithm. It does treat every single post as a new, fresh chance, so it doesn't really go with aggregate success on different things or whatever. So you still have that issue, but by far the feed is it's like freedom when I go to X, and I can't fully explain it, but after having worked so much on all these other algorithms and coming back to X after a very long time, it is night and day a different algorithm than most of the other ones I deal with. And it's refreshing, and I can tell a difference. It's so different that I can come here and tell you. I don't know why, because I don't know a lot about it technologically, why it's so different, but it is different, and it sources differently, it discovers differently, it's consistent in a different way. It still has its inconsistencies, but as it goes, it's learning, and they're adjusting the coding constantly. But you can also tell when it's a bad code day, and then they switch it. But you can tell like when it starts to silo stuff more, and then it opens up, and it seems to actually fix itself much better. Where something like YouTube, it silos into a trend, it snowballs, and it doesn't ever recover. If you saw what happened after the 4th of July, it ruined so many channels just because it didn't understand the concept of maybe purge 4th of July views, because a lot of people do 4th of July videos that isn't what their channel actually is, and it screwed up so much of the algorithm, it's not even funny. And I imagine that's going to happen in the Christmas and all the stuff, and it only goes by these weird trends and what's popular, and if it's already popular, it will show it because it's already popular, and then it will say that as the reason why your video is performing well is because it's only performing well because it's showing that specific topic right now. You can't be creative and do something unique on YouTube. That's not the space for it right now. It's ruining creativity, it's ruining uniqueness. And anytime like one of the support people, like they actually like said something about like the 15 seconds and different things, so they're actually looking, and then they'll deny it, but no, they're looking at like the 15-second, how long you keep someone. It's like these are not healthy behaviors. And no one on YouTube, that's a long form. It's supposed to be long form, and for some reason, idiots over there decided that they really want to capitalize on short form. Well, they already missed that boat. They already missed the podcast boat. They could have done the podcast a long time ago when they were the only ones capable of doing the podcasting. They could do the podcasting to RSS, and they could actually be a podcasting platform that's as big as Apple now that was doing video. or, but they didn't, because probably a lady was running it. Just, ugh. I'm just like, I'm frustrated with the bad choices that they've made. And then now they're trying to get short. It's too late. You're not going to be a shorts feed. And by the way, shorts are stupid on YouTube. They're not even the same type of shorts. And the shorts that do work out are generally the ones that help you go to like a longer form content. And YouTube is the long form content place. And apparently they don't care about that. They're trying to do podcasts now. They're like, they missed the boat. And now they're like, going onto this other chain, like the short-term content chain. Like, you missed the boat. Like, stop it. Stop going that direction. So I don't know, whoever's making decisions over there is really not doing well. But their algorithm is horrible. Their search, discovery, all aspects of their algorithm, and their automated system that's supposed to be helpful, it's horrible, and it's the worst one out there. So going from that and then going to X is breath of fresh air. It's not perfect, but it's so much better, and I see it improving, and then having bad days, and then improving. So I actually see the freedom in it compared to any of the other algorithms, and I will say that just as a user, not as someone who does it, like who creates it, right? I'm just a user of like what I like to watch, and if my stuff gets seen or not, which sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I find it fascinating what does and doesn't. It's not always consistent. It's a little more consistent on X. And you have a little more ability for discoverability. I do find it annoying though, and I'm glad that they're taking away that replies get money. I think that's a change that they're making, and people weren't happy about it. But I feel like even with, like, you see it on LinkedIn, and they'll send you a little message saying this post is viral. Write a comment on it to get more traction on your channel. That's stupid. It's, farming like people's subscribers or their followers, and it's not like, I don't think that's the way that it should be working. And that's like what LinkedIn is telling you: to get more views on your page, you should be commenting on things that are popular. Like that, can't I just comment on things that I want to comment on? Stupid. But that's like, so I like the idea of taking away replies as being monetized. Therefore, when you reply, you're actually just doing it for a conversation. I find that much more meaningful and a lot nicer, a lot cooler. I like that concept a lot better. Personally. So I'm all for it, and I'm all for people getting kicked off or, leaving. I guess they're not kicked off, but because they're not going to be making as much money and all of this, like, fine, bye. I actually want it to be more of a social space, and I believe X could be more social. It's just that sort of thing. You can post long form videos. You can post, you can do audio things and live streams, and you can do a lot of like longer not just the 140 characters. You can actually type a lot. So for me, it's just really a space that I can get behind. So I'm really enjoying X. I still like YouTube and the environment of posting on it, but their algorithm is a pile of crap. It's awful. So that is that. But I do use it, and I seek out people and information, and I seek out continuously the people that I want to watch, and I have to do that if I want to see them. And I don't use the home feed. So anyway, we see the comments before you, and was a little worried about you reading Fusion's face and Ivan's comments. Your reactions were calm and kind of expected. Well, thanks. Thank you. Best one, the Cinderace. Yeah, I mean, it happens. People aren't always going to like you, and you're on the internet, so that's going to happen. And there's a lot of weird stuff happening, and you can't argue with someone that a lot of people are faking it. I mean, I've been doing this, since November now, so almost a year we're going on. I feel like I'm fairly consistent, but I'm also growing and changing as a human as we go. So I think after a while, there's only so much facade you can keep up after a 3-hour conversation. Like, you're seeing me. This is me. Good or bad. Like, the last week that I was on, it was like 2 weeks ago, and I was like so sick, and I remember coming on, and I wasn't going to, but I came on, and for some reason I thought it was a productive conversation, maybe I was just that sick or delusional at the time, out of it. But I just remember I was like cold sweating, like I was so gross and I was sweating all over and I was like freezing though. And I didn't stop and like talk about it, but like I was just wondering if it was even obvious. So I feel like that time you really got the me, because I don't think I was 100% there. But, and especially after like 2.5 hours, it is like how long can you keep it up being like the person you are. And I'm not a great performer, but you do have the what you come in and you're ready to talk, and then you sort of, now here I am sort of rambling, because after a while it's sort of, that's what it comes to. So thank you all for being here and dealing with it and watching me go slowly through every comment like Best One the Cinderace. It's just my personality. I can't help it. And you guys took time to comment. So whether or not you'll take the time to wait an hour for me to get to your comment, that I understand you can't always do that. But the fact that you take time to make comments, I want to acknowledge them, as well as, you'll notice when I do the VODs, I try to keep your comments in there so that you guys sometimes are showcased in my video on demands that I cut from these afterwards. I don't see this one as having really great anything to cut. I don't know. I never do. So maybe there will be a video on demand for this, but it takes a while to figure it out, because you'll see like I come back and forth with different conversations, and then I have to actually mix and match stuff to create my videos on demand from these. So sometimes they work better than others. But Adam Bailey, hi, nice to see you. Adam Bailey, congrats on the Manosphere Highlights video. Manosphere Highlights Daily video last week. Thank you. Do you actually follow that channel? Or how did you find, I know that you probably saw it in all the comments, but it was the rom-coms have ruined women. That was the one that the Manosphere Highlights Daily. Go check out that channel if you want to watch some Manosphere stuff. It doesn't seem as, it's Manosphere, but it's not like a Tate Manosphere type of thing. It seems more like a reasonable Manosphere area. From what I could see, I felt like I agreed with a lot of what they were saying. So, but they did highlight, my video was featured. I was a little nervous about it. I can't deal with all the comments, everything coming in, because you see me, I want to like acknowledge people, and when it just gets too much, I just can't acknowledge everyone. So I try to like and thumbs up to show that I saw it. Doesn't mean that I endorse what you're saying. I mean, I just want to acknowledge you in some way, but I did see that, so that was fun. I got some new followers. If you're new from the Manosphere Highlights Daily, I don't know why that's so hard for me to say accurately, then welcome. Thank you. I'm not a Manosphere person, but I guess we have a lot of similar views. So thank you, Adam. That was fun. It was I was like, why am I getting all of this? And everyone was like, you're from Manosphere Highlights Daily. And so I did watch the video, and I was nervous watching it because, I'm not like an expert, and I just kind of talk. And that video was made from the live stream, the one that I was sick on. And so like it took a little to get it into some sort of coherent little video on demand. So I was nervous because I cut it up, but then like I try not to watch them again because I'm just like, it's so bad. But so they were very kind about it. And I did notice one thing about that and a lot of people mentioned it on the comments too. And basically it was one thing where I said about women staying in bad situations longer than they should, and then everyone kept saying, well, actually women divorce higher rates. Well, I feel like that was just misunderstanding what I was saying, because I didn't consider marriage as a bad situation. I was thinking more like hive mindset, bad ideologies, and negative friendships and toxic environments. I feel like women tend to do that much longer. Men tend to separate themselves from that space faster. I wasn't thinking in marriage as the negative environment. I was thinking of more the ideology that makes them leave a marriage, and women tend to stick to those things to the end, to their detriment, when they know well before that it's not going that way. But it's like probably a pride thing too. It's like you've already done so much. That's why I always say the sunk cost fallacy, because I feel like women really have that. But that was a fun little thing. So thank you, anyone who came from there. In Envision 622. I feel like every time I try to say your name, I'm like, NVIDIA, Envision. But then, like, afterwards, I was like, yes, okay. So I like Andrew. So we're talking about the Candace and Andrew thing. He's based and his wife is pretty. That's Rachel, and I was seeing her. She makes some fun comments, so she's pretty cool. I should finish your. I will read this all first. I like Andrew. He's based and his wife is pretty cool too. They both pretty much do the same thing and debate lefties. I think you should give them a listen. They're spokespeople for common sense. Okay, I will look. I do believe I follow both of them on X. I haven't watched their show, mostly because it seems like they just have a bunch of crazy, weird hookup women. I don't know. And I just don't like seeing women like that. I don't like them. They represent us poorly. And likely accurately to a large number of them, and it's just frustrating to me. It angers me, I guess. So and then I want to make videos about it, and then everyone says, why do you only talk about women? Because we're going crazy. That's why I talk about women. This needs to, like, we're in trouble. We've gone too far, and I don't know why men let this happen. Why'd you do this? But anyway, Envision, they're no producer, Elena, though. Oh, you're so sweet. It's hard for many to hold a candle next to you. You're very sweet. That is so nice. Your radiance leaves their candle in a puddle on the floor. That is a nice thing. I mean, I'm sure that they're very, like, charismatic. They're very popular. But I do really appreciate that. It's very nice. You guys are sweet. And then Best One Cinderace says TikTok is for the young generation. Yeah, it's not me. Roughly people born in 2013, known as Gen Alpha. Okay, so Gen Alpha is 2013, gosh. So yeah, so Gen Alpha is only up to, like, 13 years old. Is that Gen Alpha? Is that the accurate years? That's so interesting. But TikTok is horrible. And I don't understand how people enjoy it. And a lot of women enjoy it, though. A lot of adult women enjoy it. But it is made, it seems like, for the younger generation. So that's likely why it's just not made for me. I wasn't trained for that. I was trained for long form. Actually, you know what? I was trained on radio. So we did a morning show every morning from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. And that's it's a talk radio. We did more talk, less music. So basically we did play music, we had to, but we tried as much as possible to play as little as possible as they would let us, as the PD would let us, and talk. And we were a morning kind of talk show, around the coffee table talk show. And we would do that every single day, 5 days a week, and then we ended up also doing a weekend countdown show, which was less talk. But that's probably why I'm so long-winded, and why I could just talk for hours based on one comment, is my radio upbringing. I have been trained in radio. Speaking of, I do need a drink. I am getting tired. It is 2 hours and 41 minutes of me talking. Guys, I really appreciate you being here. And yes, I have seen the stuff about Coca-Cola. It is a security blanket. It is a corporation. I think all corporations are evil. Most of them love Satan. So that is Coca-Cola. So I'm glad that they're being shown for the truth. And yes, I have seen all of the stuff about Coca-Cola. If you don't know what I'm talking about, basically Coca-Cola had, they have the cans, and like they used to, which I actually enjoyed, where you could find, they never had my name, but you could get like a big 6-pack or 12-pack, and you would see different names on it. And so then I guess you could like go to a store and find one with your name on it. If you had one of those, a typical name like Sarah, you could find your name on it. And I thought that was cool. But then they allowed you to go on their website and make your own can. And that's cool. It's like $10 for, I think, like this. So it's a lot. It's not really worth it unless you're like doing a collectible, which, Americana, kind of collectible thing for 20 years down the line. I don't know. But apparently, when you were watching it, or when you're trying to do it, you could watch a lot of videos about it. You could put in a whole lot of different terms, except for you couldn't put Jesus as king, but you could put Satan as king. You could not do black power or white power, but you could do like Latina power. You could do, you know, like it just basically tried a lot of different things. And it basically would immediately trigger anything about like positive to Jesus or Christianity. But you could say a lot of crazy things. You could just watch some of the videos of some of the crazy. There was the guy who he made a few follow-ups. It was the original one who did the videos, the original videos of it, and he made a few of the follow-ups. So he really tested it, and it's interesting. So yes, if you thought Coca-Cola was a good company, it is like the rest of them, not. But you know, it's good to have the truth come out, and that's really important. Okay, so let's see. Envision, oh no, sorry. Envision, I said you. Since you have a cat, best one, the Cinderace. Since you have a cat, you can do short forms with your cat. I like shorts about funny cats. I mean, I do. I don't know that my cat's like funny. You know, the funny thing that he does, which I think all cats do, if you put something like if I put a can or something on the edge of anything, he will knock it off, and I'll say don't do it, and he'll look me in the eyeballs and do it, but he just knocks it over, and he like can't help it. It's just something that cats do. So that's kind of funny, but otherwise, I don't know. I think he's adorable. He likes getting his belly massaged, but again, I don't know how like good content that is. It's good for me. I enjoy massaging his belly. I figured that out when he got really, really sick. The vet said he had kidney failure. This was 2 years ago, and they wanted to put him down, and I was like, okay, that's stupid. There's probably end-of-life care I could have done other than put my cat down, so I never went back to the vet, and I prayed on him, and you know, he actually got better, and he's healed now, and I've never taken him back to the vet, and he's absolutely fine 2 years later. And also they tell you, if you look at research, not to just trust the first test, because it could be like a UTI, or it could be other things that cause the same test numbers that were very extreme. He was in kidney failure. They said he only had a few days to live. 2 years later, he's healthier than ever, and he's, you know, I've been exercising him and stuff ever since then, and all of that. So I've been doing my part and making sure, which is why it's like hard to help him lose weight when part of the kidney issue or the thing that he was having was he wasn't eating, which again, not eating for, I had to take him in because I needed him to be, get the little pack, you know, the pack that you put in, so that he would get enough fluids and stuff. But once he did that and he got like the eating medicine, then he started eating again, because I believe after a few days, you know, he could get fatty liver damage, right? Like that fatty liver disease that so I didn't want that. So anyway, there's a lot of things that could happen. So you're supposed to take the test far enough apart, you know, to account for those things. And this vet did not care. It was just not a very like tableside manner kind of, or life caring vet. Let me tell you, I was not pleased with that vet. I will never bring my cat back to that vet ever again if I need to go to a vet again, but he hasn't needed a vet since then. He's been healthy and happy, so, and eating perfectly normal. But it does make me like, it's hard to have him lose weight. The only way to have him lose weight is to really get him moving, right? Because I'm definitely not going to mess with his food. But I also believe that he was poisoned by one of the foods that he was eating that I realized was bought by a company, and the company I did not trust anyways, but I didn't realize it had been bought since I had been feeding him like his whole life. This food from this company had been bought and the quality had gone down, and I believe that was actually poisoning him personally. That's what I believe. Anyway, but that's random. See, this is why it takes me forever to go through things, but I can think about if my cat does anything funny. I just feel like who has their camera up all the time for their cat? I don't know. My cat doesn't do anything that funny. Like, I do like funny cat videos, so I do appreciate them, but I just don't know that my cat's that one. I don't know that it's him. His name's Walter, by the way. But let's see. But he is very sweet. He's a very nice cat. Adam Bailey, I saw your face on the thumbnail. I thought it was interesting because I guess that was an AI version of me. Did you feel like it looked like me? It's weird seeing AI versions of yourself because it's like not you and it's like off and you know it's clearly not you. So when I looked for it, because I went to go see what people were talking about on this is the Manosphere Highlights Daily feature video they did about, and it was like called Let Her Cook or something. And so you can see me technically, but what I was like, is that me? Is that supposed to be me? It was a fine picture. It just didn't look like me. And I thought it was funny. And you know, it was nice. They didn't make me look like crazy ugly or anything, so that was nice. But I definitely looked and I was like, is this me? So it's funny to watch yourself be generated by AI, and it's off, you know, because you're so used to seeing yourself, but you never see yourself how other people see you anyways. So we are all have demented ideas, dysmorphic ideas about what we look like in reality or what we sound like. It's also interesting to hear yourself recorded. I hate my voice so much. I've hated it since I was young. But to have to listen to myself, but because like what you hear, you know, when you're inside your head is so much different than having to hear yourself back. It's a bit torturous when I have to edit my own videos, but I've gotten used to it. I think it helps me, you know, accept yourself even more, right? Like when you have to do that sort of thing and you're forced to watch yourself and whatever you do. Oh, and Chuck Gilly, you did great doing this off the cuff. Thank you. Thank you, Chuck. Yeah, this is all off the cuff. I just talk. I don't know. I mean, obviously you guys are interacting with me, so there's that. But yeah, this is just me talking, which I guess, again, it's probably a radio thing. I'm just used to. You don't have dead air, so you just talk, right? Like you have to talk about something. And I'm never at a lack for thoughts in my head to talk about. Whether or not I should say them out loud, you know, this is where my channel goes. This is where I censor myself around everyone else in work and in everything else. So this is why this is just for fun. I don't have to censor myself. And in the same way, obviously I do try to be kind and try, you know, just like the normal censors that I try to do in life, to think about other people and not be triggered by things and all of that, right? But at the same time, this is probably, which we've, I think, had a discussion about if any of you were in older lives, this is probably where I'm the most myself out of any space that I have is when I do these videos. It's the most me. I have not eaten dinner yet. I forgot. Like I remembered like 10 minutes ago, but now I'm actually saying it out loud because I was in like a different thought process. But it's 9:30, so I missed my chance of getting a delivery. I'm gonna have to figure that out. I don't think I have any food. I meant to get food delivered, like groceries. I have a license. I don't know if I updated you guys. I do have my license officially, my Texas license. I got that in February. No, March, February. It was around there. I got it in springtime. I started the process. I redid my they say 6 hours of driver's ed, but it took me like 12 something hours. When I went to the desk when I got my driver's license, and I was like, oh, I did the driver's course and whatever again, and here's my information. I don't know if you need it. And because I didn't need to redo it, I didn't. My driver's license wasn't expired, so I didn't need it. But I gave it to her, and she was like, oh, you know, like, oh, it's this 6 hour thing, you know, we'll use this, we'll put it on your thing. I mean, I guess she filed it. I don't know why. But she mentioned it was 6 hours, and I was like, well, it took me a lot more. And she laughed at me. She laughed at me for having actually watched all the videos. Because I was like, well, it takes a lot more you had to watch all the videos, and the videos, it was more than 6 hours. And the lady at the driver's place, the DPS, was it the DPS? Department of Public Safety, I think, or the motor vehicles. I don't know. With every state, it's called a different thing. Anyway, yeah, she laughed at me and was like, you watched them all? And I did. I read every single thing. I scrolled to the bottom reading it, and I watched the entire videos. And definitely takes more than 6 hours. But it felt like the right thing to do. I don't know why I would have lied. And then I had to take a test after each one. So, like, if I didn't watch the videos, how was I gonna take the test. I don't know. I just, but yeah, it worries me when the people at the DMV laugh at you for finishing, being thorough in your driver's ed course. But I mean, I was an adult. It's definitely older. Okay, let's see. Chuck. Oh, that was the last one. The best one, the Cinderace. Ideas for third spaces could be your next video or live stream topic. I do think, like, if you guys have ideas for third spaces, let me know. That's something I really have to think about because I don't know. I've been thinking about this for a while, being single again. I have been thinking about it, like, how do you meet someone effectively in a third space in this day and age. Again, not wanting to meet someone in a space that you're just faking the hobby. I don't want to be that person that's like constantly going to a sports game and then makes the man, like, tricks them. That's tricking, thinking that that's something you like, and then you like end up getting married to a person, and then you're like, just kidding, don't really like this, I never want to go to another sports game with you ever again. That's no good. So I really want it to be something we can enjoy, or that I enjoy, and it's a hobby. So I've tried some things, and I'm like, I'm not a pickleball fan. There are certain things it's not going to be me. So how do you find the hobby that is a group type of hobby that you can do in a third space? The thing I love to do is I love to walk, and that's where I was like, but the parks, like I said, not really a space for adults to hang out. So, and like in Texas, it's just not the same as New York. I love to walk, and in New York, I walked all the time and always went to the parks, and it's just a different space in Texas. So, the reason I brought up the car thing was, the driver's license, was because I have my license, but I don't have a car, so I still need to do deliveries and stuff, and I still have to walk, but it's like 100 degrees out, and there's not always sidewalks either. So, the things that you get used to. I do wish I was in a more walkable space, weather-wise and sidewalk-wise. But that's me. I've never been a great driver, and I've never been fully comfortable driving. I was fine. I could drive, and I followed the laws, but I just, you're not supposed to be a nervous driver, right? Like, you're supposed to be confident. You can't, like, second guess. That's when you get into accidents. You got to make your choices and stick to them. I feel like that in life. So yeah, I've always been more of a, like, I'd have to pump myself up every time I had to get in the car and drive, and I had to drive every day to work and things. Like, at one point I lived like 40 minutes away from work, but when we moved to Nashville, I was off Demumbrium, and we were off Music Square, Music Row, but it was Music Square was the road, and I was only like, it was like 7 minutes. At one point I lived off also Demumbrium, but a different spot of Demumbrium, like way closer, and that I could walk to work. Like, it was just a few blocks away, and I could walk to the radio station. The Big 98 was the local station, but we were syndicated there. And then when I moved downtown, I moved right next to the river, and so I could see the river, and I could see like the bridge, the Nashville Bridge, from my window. It was really awesome space. And I remember that I had to drive in the mornings through downtown, and that took about like 7 to 10 minutes depending on which lights I would get caught on. So I lived very close both times to work, but I had to go to work. Going to work was easy because you get to go to work between 3:30 and 4:30 in the morning. No one's really on the roads, but then coming home, you're going home in downtown traffic. So I was always able to drive, and in difficult situations, driving downtown anywhere is not easy. And then obviously when we lived in Austin with the radio show, I had to go to Congress, South Congress Avenue, so I drove pretty far, and then I'd have to drive downtown. Again, going in the first thing in the morning, it's very easy, but then trying to leave, it's definitely, you're in downtown traffic. So I feel like I navigated that stuff pretty well. I always had to pump myself up for it. It always made me nervous. And Chuck Gilly came from Manosphere Highlights Daily. Thank you for being here and sticking around. You've been here for quite a while. I've hit my 3 hours. Bam! I didn't know. I never know if I can do it because I worked all day, and you can see I'm like getting more and more manic as I go, because that's what happens once the nights the lights go down. I don't know. I have insomniac tendencies, probably from my radio days, as you could tell. We had weird hours, very weird hours. I mean, there would be many nights where you could not sleep. I sleep the best. To this day, I sleep the best when it's bright outside. So from like 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. is like ideal sleeping time for me. You can't do that in life, but like if I was gonna say where I sleep the best, if it happens, because I often have to do an all-nighter, those are the nights I sleep the best. It's the days, and it probably has to do with the radio. Like something like in me is always like, oh, if it's nighttime, I gotta get to work. I gotta wake up. I still sometimes have dreams of like having to run the board, and I'm like not there, and I'm trying to figure out how to get on the system, and yeah, I still have those dreams. I think they're similar to the dreams that you would have if you're like missing a test at school, and I don't have those, but I have them for the radio station still, which is weird. And yes, eat dinner. I will eat dinner. I'm not gonna starve. I have something. I just have to look at my pantry. I think I have like lentils and quinoa and something. Like, you know, the little packs, like put in the microwave, Better Harvest type of thing. I think I have some of those. I know I have broccoli, so I could probably mix those up, and then I might have some teriyaki sauce somewhere. So yeah, I think that might be my dinner at this point. We'll see. I'm not worried about it. I will eat dinner, but thank you. And then, have I been taking public transportation? I have not. No. I'm in a space. I could take an Uber or something, but no, mostly I just get rides from my family. That's about it. And then there's just so much. Most of the stuff you can do, like deliveries for, say, groceries or those sort of things. My nephew is here every day, so my sister is always coming from, driving here, so she can always drop something off, those sort of things. So my family is, because I came here to be near my family, so it's what they get. They were the ones who wanted me to come back home. I definitely argued against it for a very long time until the one got pregnant, and I was like, I guess I need to go home, get to know my nephews, the one nephew, and then the other one got pregnant. So, and then now there's a third on the way. They're gonna wait till I think it's a girl, so I'll tell you if I'm right, but they're waiting to figure out the gender until it's born, so that's exciting. And I think that's happening maybe January, February, I think is the due date. So that'll be another little baby. So I really do enjoy being around them. She lives farther away now, but I believe the other one's who had the baby like 6 months later. They're like 6 months apart. I believe she's gonna have another baby pretty soon as well. So we will see. And so I'll have more babies running around, which I love. So that's exciting. Anyway, and then I mentioned chess and starting a book club. Oh, Best One, the Cinder Ace, is talking about third spaces. So he mentioned chess and starting a book club earlier in the comments, but it's ultimately your decision. Huh. I don't know why I didn't see that comment. Must have skipped something. Oh, here. You said ideas for third spaces in addition to chess, maybe starting a book club like in TV shows where everyone discusses the book they're reading. I see. And then Best One, I wondered if you were going to ban Ivan for directly asking you on a date. Of course not. I mean, shoot your shot, people. Shoot your shot. I'm not interested in dating on here, but, I'm not going to chastise anyone from shooting their shot in a respectful way. He was nice. But see, I missed this whole thing. So Best One said, Uno cards or chess might be a good hobby for real-life gatherings. I actually used to really like Uno. I don't know about chess. I've never played chess. My family does, what is that game called? Shanghai? They play Shanghai often. I don't play it as much with them, but they really enjoy doing that, board games and that sort of thing. My older sister loves puzzles, and we used to do puzzles all the time. That's a big one that we really like, doing puzzles. I don't know, that's like a place where you go and do puzzles, but things like bingo and stuff, it seems like older people place, but I don't know, I kind of like bingo. I like to play bingo on my phone. It's always fun. That like little it helps me deal, like, I hate things like the timer things, and so it helps me, like, actually calms me and helps me deal with, like, the timer down thing. If for some reason it's actually useful for me. And then you also mentioned the book club, like in TV shows everyone discusses, and we've talked about that at one point. Book clubs, trying to do a book club on this, like someone says like some book and then we read it and we actually like have a book club. That is something someone's discussed. Maybe it was Neb, who's not here tonight. I know he's a student. He goes to school, so he probably has class. But yeah, I remember that, and that was something I'm actually interested in, and doing like an actual book club. That could be a way to meet people as well. But then it's like, where do you meet? Can you do that at libraries now? Do they even allow that? Like a coffee shop? I don't drink coffee. I mean, you could have tea there. I don't know if they allow like you to meet for long periods of time. And I don't know if they would have like an issue with certain books or certain discussions, because everything's so like anti having discussions that are not in a narrative. So it does make you start wondering like how you do it. And then is that a space where you go to the park? I don't know any I guess like there is a public park much further away that's not just for children in Austin, but like most of the parks are definitely like more for families and kids. So it does make you wonder if that would be like, how would you even set that up? I feel like you kind of have to set up your own group, and then kind of have to just invite, I don't know, like it's always a gamble to date anyone or meet someone. You never know if someone's gonna be crazy, and now the odds are good, especially with my gender. So yeah, it does make you, it does unfortunately make you apprehensive about the idea too, and who you're inviting in your space. You want to be smart about it, but it's also like they're fearing you into not wanting to meet people. And not everyone's crazy, but there are so many people who have admittedly agreed with hurting children and each other, that it's not, yeah, it does make you not want to go outside. Is that just me? I feel like I'm like, I prefer, especially because, you know, someone might be like, oh, you don't agree with me, and then I'm just, people are just so crazy right now. And we have a lot of ideologies coming around that really hate us, especially hate Christians. I need another drink. Especially Christians. So it does make you feel nervous, and that is what they want. They want you to be afraid, but at the same time, there's a reason, because there are just people being attacked now all the time. You could have an argument or not even have an argument and still be attacked now. It's a very dangerous world right now, because there are crazy people, which is again the point of this video. Like how do we change that? Because it's not an unintelligent thought saying protect yourself, or that this could be dangerous to set yourself up for third space meetings, right? But then you become the parents that didn't let any of their children outside, which is what we have now, and now children don't run and play. And I know I was running and playing outside on my own when I was young, and I feel like that was a healthy thing to do. Now it's unsafe, but wasn't it always unsafe prior? Now it seems extra unsafe, but does it always seem, is it really extra unsafe, or is it just because we see all the news? Was it always this unsafe? And we just have so much bombardment of fear, of all the bad stuff, of all the hatred, and you know, were these people always okay with mothers hurting their children? Like, was that always a thing that these women were agreeing with? Or is it like just because it's popular? Or like, why? It has to make you think why they're even publicly saying this, like agreeing with Lindsay Clancy. Why? Is it for clout, or is it because they really want to do that too? And at what level do we have to then follow up? I was seeing something about someone, like her mother was saying that she warned them. Like there's people who have mental issues that warn people in some way, and you ignore them. And then there's also the multiple offender issue in a different layer, not her, but like a different issues, which it's like, well, wasn't that a warning? The first offense? The system's really crazy, guys. It's meant to be this way, and I do believe there are some people that are doing well, but then you also have to say there are a lot of people who are being paid to think a certain way or do a certain thing, and they're in government as well. So who is it that, do we trust the conspiracy theories only that agree with what we think, or do we have to look at also some of the conspiracy theories about Maha and what they're saying about RFK Jr. wanting to put chips into everyone, and some people are starting to be like, that's the beast, and these are all conspiracies, but there's a truth to it. Like there's truth somewhere, not necessarily to that. I don't know, I haven't researched that, but that's a conspiracy you hear. But you see conspiracies about Bill Gates, but you've also seen the interviews of Bill Gates saying that he wants to use vaccines and things to help depopulate the world, is essentially what he says. I'm misquoting it to an extreme, but at the same time, it's basically it would help our population control. So, and then you look into theosophy and different things that are a core original foundation of, say, the UN, and the UN is one of the places where the public educational system got a lot of its original and continues to get a lot of its curriculum. And so you start thinking like, well, if you look into some of the history, there's also like a Satanist, actually it might be a Luciferian, very different, but a Luciferian belief system that started with a person who actually publishes a lot of the publications that the UN uses. So they've changed the name slightly, and again, Luciferism is different than Satanism. Satanism is more just selfishness. It's less about Satan, more about yourself, where Luciferianism is more about actual Lucifer, worshiping the devil. So you can confuse those easily. But so when you think about where certain things start, you have to start wondering if the root is rotten, and we're seeing rotten fruit. Is the root, still rotten? Does that matter? Did it change because modern times, or is modern times just some facade for something bigger? So I know this is all conspiracy, but if you really look into it, and this is just off the top of my head, so I haven't like prepared this study for you to be like exactly what I'm talking about, to say the exact names of the companies, but you have to start thinking about that as well, about where really the root is of something. How far does that root go? You stop it at this surface level, it sounds okay, but then you keep going and you see the root is horrible. It's, worshiping Lucifer, and it's about depopulating the world, not just the country, and it's about basically a whole elite group of people. Like if you look at the World Economic Forum, it's based on a whole elite group of people running the world and making everyone else subservient. You will have nothing and you will be happy, right? Klaus Schwab. And basically they want to depopulate the world. They only want the elites there, and they want you to have like cardboard and fake meat while they eat meat, those sort of things. But these are things that they actually say. So when someone tells you certain things like Jesus is obsolete, this is something the World Economic Forum and some of their scientists have said, that they're making Jesus obsolete because of medical technology. Well, first of all, they don't understand the point of Jesus, because they think that living forever in a human body is the point of Jesus. Okay, nice try, guys. Living in this human body forever is definitely not the point. Living forever, that's not really the whole point. But anyway, when they say certain things like that, where their root is. It's not good, and it's going to be anti-Christian. Regardless if you are a Christian or not, you can understand that would be an anti-Christian thing. say, and it would be against Christianity specifically. That specifically is mocking it. So you have to wonder, these are openly what they're saying. What are they saying behind the closed doors? They're telling you what they believe. They're telling you what they think. When are we going to listen? And these are, they have, if you look who goes to World Economic Forum, you don't have to guess which side is all going there, which part of, there are Hollywood elites, all these people, these actors that are involved in the World Economic Forum. Just go ahead. You can go look and see who shows up. You can watch the videos and see who's in the front row clapping. And it's not hard to guess who it is, but it's also when you see what they say. It's all connected. They're all being trained this stuff. They train politicians this way, and they want a new world order. They want the one world government system. No one wants that who's sane and wants humanity to have, humans to have rights. You can't live like that. Have one governing power. That's not safe or sane. But it's the world we live in. Okay, everybody, I'm going to look at any last thing, but I think we are done. I am saying goodbye. I really appreciate we made it over 3 hours, 3 hours and 14 minutes today, and you guys are awesome. There's 60 people in here, so thank you all for showing up, and some of you did not comment, so maybe comment next time. But I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'm going to press end stream, and I do not know how long it will take to stop it, but I really do appreciate you guys. I'm going to go eat, and be blessed. Bye. I'm